That is terrible lighting. Okay. Those of you that get in here, I gotta fix this light. This is bad. Let me mess with my light here. Nope, I need different lighting. All right. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna quick turn a light on so I don't look orange. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Get the glare out of there. I don't know why that did that. Normally, that light works really well, and today it's not. So, welcome, guys. It's been a while since we've done a live stream, so I thought I'd do one tonight. There's been a lot going on the channel. I am super excited to announce, I'll probably be repeating this several times throughout this live feed, but we officially have shirts here. 6.0 Bros. So this is freshly released. There's a link in the description. You can purchase these shirts on Amazon. Obviously, I do make a little bit of money off these. This is the standard t-shirt. I'm very happy with it. The standard one's good to go. There is a premium t-shirt, which hopefully should be here to my house in the next day or two. And it is like $4 more. So if that shirt's not worth $4 more, I'm going to take it off the Amazon link. But right now, those are the two shirts that are available. Very happy with. Drop your questions over in the comment section. And while I know I said 6.0 Powerstroke and 6.7 Powerstroke, you guys know we kind of tackle everything here. So hopefully you guys start. Let's see here, Nick. Are we going for 4 hours this time? Oh, man, 4 hours. I don't know that I have 4 hours in me. I did get a large water bottle over here, so hopefully my voice, my throat starts getting a little sore. Hopefully I can make it through. I think 3 hours is probably the limit, brother. And but as always, it really is dependent on you guys. If you guys are engaging and still have questions and having fun, most importantly, then we'll keep going. So like I said, up to you guys how long we really go. As people stop engaging, we typically kind of slow down. So anyway, man, Nick, I don't know if you were in to see it. What do you think of the shirt? We officially have 6.0 Bro t-shirts on Amazon. So I'm very excited about this. This has been a long time in the making. You guys have been asking for shirts for quite some time. And part of what's taken me so long to fulfill that wish from you guys is really the fact that I wanted to make sure that when I did make them available, you guys had access to them. You didn't have to wait for shipping. And with the Amazon thing, it's all prime shipping. So you get this when you order this. This actually came in like 24 hours to my house. So I've been very happy with Amazon so far. It's you have to apply for it, but like I said, super excited. And I know that you guys are going to get stuff. It's Amazon, so if you don't like it, it's easy to return. I hope that's not the case. I know I'm liking this one. It's nothing crazy, but it's a nice t-shirt and definitely obviously has my logo on it, and I'm loving it. So for those of you that don't know, Josh and his girlfriend actually originally designed this logo. So I bugged them to send it to me, and I messed with it a little bit so I could get it screen printed. And like I said, so you guys will be able to just order it. They get there. It's fast shipping. You're not waiting for me. It's not expensive shipping. So yeah, super excited about that. Ty, thank you, man. Appreciate it. So let's get into some Powerstroke questions, guys. What's on everyone's mind? No? All right. I guess we'll start talking with. Gonna have to get one of those shirts. Love the channel. Hey, man, thank you, TJ. I appreciate it, brother. There is a link to the Amazon account or Amazon store down in the description. So after the live stream, hit that and check them out, man. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you guys like the shirts. Like I said, I'm waiting on the premium one to get to me, and as long as as long as I feel it's worth $4 more, I'm gonna keep it up. But if I feel like it's overpriced or it's not really worth anything more, I'm just going to take that down. I'll upload something different, maybe a different color selection with this. Some of you guys may remember the logo 60 Bros, where the Bros was in the 0, and it said it's not an engine, it's a movement. I'm looking at putting that on the back of t-shirts here in the future. And this winter we'll have hoodies, long sleeves, regular cab short bed conversion. Dude, that's awesome. I'd love to do a regular cab short bed conversion at some point. And when is your kill to stage 2 vlog coming? So I've actually been I sent an email out to Assassin, or I forget the name of the company for the Assassin connecting rods. That is kind of the route I want to go. So the end goal for the 60, guys, is to make roughly 750 to 800 horsepower. That is my end goal for the 60, at least in the crew cab. I'm not saying that down the road we won't have other 60s or that we might not get it. And who knows what we might do. We could do a 6.7 build down the road. I feel pretty confident in saying there won't be any 6.4s going on, but I'm looking at definitely doing the Assassin connecting rods and fly cut delipped pistons. I want to get coated pistons. I'm probably going to run a stage 2 cam still from Killed. Now I will switch from the Colt cam, which Colt cam's been a great cam. I do recommend it. Make sure you're getting the correct push rod length so that you're not having issues down the road. Cali, yeah, that's ripping. Hey, brother, how you doing, man? Did you stay on the East Coast, or are you out west now? So the Assassin rods is what I'm looking at, and like I said, I want to do about 750 to 800 horsepower. That does mean at some point I'll probably have to step away from the VGTs. I do really, really like the VGT turbos, which shameless affiliate plug, I now have a coupon code for Turbo Time USA for their custom turbos. Now, they did recently release a 61 millimeter turbo, and that one, it does not seem to work, but I did talk to my contact there, and he's looking into that because he said that should be, you guys should still be able to get a 5% discount on that turbo as well. Those of you guys that have been watching the channel for a long time know I'm not a super big fan of these 61 millimeter turbos. They do spool fast. It does have a Power Max turbine or turbine wheel, however you want to say it. So I do like that. So I do think it'd be an excellent towing turbo. It will spool super fast, but I do tend to like the 64 millimeter turbos and with the Power Max turbine wheel. I just think they are a nice setup, and not to give away one of my soon coming videos comparing the 60 and the 6.7 in towing my camper. But the one thing I want to say is I really, really like that 10-blade turbine wheel, because when I'm getting in it and I'm pulling a grade with that, I don't like, my exhaust temps are not an issue. And I was really shocked on the 6.7 to see my exhaust temps really creeping up and not coming down. Even if I downshifted to bring my RPMs up, I think I was pulling in 4th gear. 4th or 3rd, I forget, and my EGTs were still going up in the 6.7. So I was kind of surprised to see that. And again, now though, the 6.7 has a 13-blade turbine wheel. It's relatively small. The turbo itself, I think the factory 6.7s are 61 millimeter. So be a cool comparison between the two to draw at a later date. But let's see here. I'm falling behind in the okay, so Nick, yeah, so I am working on the 6.0, guys. My goal, and I can't say I'll have this done, but my goal is to have it for the fall. That is the plan. I don't know that that'll happen, but that is my plan, because I want to really miss the 6.0. I love my 6.7. We're getting, sorry guys, let me turn this down. Oh, that's funny. That's actually somebody on the 6.0 Bro Facebook page texting. So I do love my 6.7, but I really miss the 6.0, and I want to get back into content with that. I want to get bigger injectors in it, and I want to go over FICM tuning. I want to try out more tunes. You know, the tune reviews, they're fun. They're just fun videos to make. It's fun to kind of, they change the truck so much from tune to tune. And I'd like to really get back into that and doing those reviews for you guys. I've done a lot of product reviews over time with that. So, and of course, I'd like to, at some point, really get into messing with Josh's truck, but our schedules are not meshing well together. But who knows, at some point, that is the goal, is to do a tow build on Josh's truck, if he's still into it. So we'll see. But again, also, there's a lot of other things that need to happen for us to be able to spend that money too. So the 6.0 is coming back. I am actively looking into it. I just really want those darn connecting rods. So I'm trying to figure out how I can afford to do that. Let's see. Let's get down in the chat here. What am I missing? Rippin' 6.0 has a cool truck that when that thing's back, it's going to be nasty. Oh man, I'm glad he's still on the East Coast with us. Really bummed you're moving, man. At some point we will have to get together. Maybe at some point I'll tow the white truck out west with the black truck and do something out there if this ever becomes successful enough. So we'll see. So let's see here. While I'm waiting for it, guys, again, comment section. You guys determine where this goes. But so we did buy some stuff for the 6.7 today. I have never run Bilstein shocks, which I only recently started saying correctly because I used to call them Bilstein. So Bilstein shocks, I ordered the 5100s all the way around for the black truck. We're going to put them on. And also I should be getting the track bar ball joint and the bushing for the track bar to be replacing here shortly. So we have like 3 projects lined up on that because I also have to replace part of my brake cable. And then finally, I can start doing performance mods. I do technically need to go in the rear end and double check all that and make sure the brakes are good, make sure the e-brake's good, and all that stuff is functioning. But for the most part at that point, we should be good to start getting into some fun stuff with the 6.7 and doing reviews. I haven't released this yet. If you guys follow the Instagram, you've seen the picture of the exhaust manifolds from BD Diesel. So the exhaust manifolds for BD Diesel and the 6.7 will be coming here soon. I need to, again, another thing I got to figure out because I got to tear a fair amount off of the 6.7 to get to the exhaust manifolds. So that's kind of a project and a half, but that will be coming in the near future as well. And I want to do a second review on the throttle sensitivity switch. Those of you guys with 03, 04, 6 liters, I did talk to BD Diesel and they are working on coming up with a throttle sensitivity switch for the 03, 04 models. So it's not out yet, but they were talking to them. I'm waiting on to hear back before I do the update video on that because I'd like to be able to give you guys a date for that. However, currently I am not able to do that, but it is in the works. He did assure me it's happening. So I know when I released that video, a lot of you 03, 04, 6 liter guys were asking me about it. And I was super upset to not be able to tell you that. So I did ask them and he said that is in the works. So hopefully soon. But he didn't have a date for that, but it is being worked on. So I love that throttle sensitivity booster. It's really cool. The 6.7 is kind of weird. And this is why I miss my 6.0 is it's like the 6 liters just, there's no pullback. The ABS, like it has ABS, but it's not like this super intrusive system. Whereas on the 6.7, like it decreases your throttle, your torque, your power, in like your first 2 or 3 gears. It's just not fun. Now, fortunately, the throttle sensitivity switch does help a lot with that, but it still isn't quite the same. Bilsteins are amazing. TJ, I'm excited to compare them. I have typically used Monroe Reflex, which I've had good luck, especially in my F-150. I loved the Monroe Reflex ones. They were fantastic and great price. I've used Rough Country, their standard gas shocks, and I've really liked them. I think they're a great value. But when I found Bilsteins on Amazon for only $283, I think is what I paid, and you're getting the Rough Countries for $200. So for $80 more, I can arguably get one of the best shocks on the market. Now, I didn't get the ones with the reservoir. I just got the standard one, but I'm excited to compare them. Is it worth the extra $83? I don't know. We're gonna find out. I think it'll be kind of a cool comparison. Obviously, I'll do the videos on how to install them, and that'll go in the suspension playlist for those. I think typically those videos don't do super good, but I think they're good for people getting into wrenching to learn how to do some of those things, because while they're simple for a lot of us, that have been wrenching and messing around for other people. What is my dog doing? Izzy. My dog's messing around over here. So I'm those videos will come out, and then I'll do another video talking about, are they worth it? Great for towing and off-road. Like I said, I'm excited, and I'm finishing fixing a vibration I get. Typically it's between about 50 and 65 miles an hour. And then sometimes it'll go up to even 70, but typically it'll start to kind of smooth out when I get much past that. And I don't really feel it below it. And so that's why I'm taking care of the track bar, because I'm sure that ball joint's bad. And then I'll literally have an entirely new front suspension between the shocks. The only things that won't be replaced, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I got the sway bar end links yet and the bushing, but that's coming too. So basically this will have a completely brand new suspension. I am trying to keep it a little bit on a budget with Moog parts, other than the Bilstein shocks, obviously not really a budget, but Moog I've had good luck with. Mike, I appreciate you hanging out, man. I do love that you continue to support the channel. I know you're one of my 6-liter guys, but I do really appreciate the support. I am going to get 6-liter content, and that's actually, so I haven't been thrilled to just do like a lot of these talking videos. They've had a really good response with the, I've had a really good response with them. They're a little more on the boring side. They're very informative. They have a lot of information, and I'm doing my best to make them as entertaining as possible for you guys. But I will say, the reason I started doing them, again, even though they're not typically what I want to do with content, I wanted to make sure I was still talking to the people that helped get the channel this far. Without my 6-liter subscribers and followers, I wouldn't be where I'm at with this channel. So I always make sure that I am trying to get back to you guys as much as I can. Let's see here. So Mike, thank you. I really appreciate it, man. All you 6.0 guys that still support the channel, I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys do enjoy the 6.7 content as well. I know we haven't gotten into performance stuff or anything yet, so it's not as exciting, but I hope you guys have enjoyed it at the same time. And as I start doing some comparing and contrasting, I hope you guys enjoy that content. We got someone here for 6.7 content. Thanks, man, for joining. I don't know that I can't remember if you have been in a live stream before. Normally, I'm pretty good at remembering a lot of the people that come in, so welcome. And I hope you enjoy it, man. And so basically how it works is you drop your questions down there, and I answer them the best I can. And if not, I start looking for those answers, and I get back to people the best I can to be able to answer. That's the big thing is, or sometimes other subscribers answer too. So it's a cool environment. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have a good time. And then Nick always tries to see how long he can keep me going on these and see if we can't hit 3 hours. He dared me to 4 hours. I don't know if I have that in me at the moment, but we're going to see. It's really just how you guys respond. It's all up to you guys how long we go. Let's see here. So, yeah, the Ranchos that come on these things, I think are garbage. It has the FX4 package, which the only thing from the FX4 package on the 6.7 I like is the electric locking rear diff. I've goofed around with it a little bit. It's fun. But other than that, the Rancho shocks don't do it for me. I think it's kind of a joke. I think it's more saying it's better. I don't think it's really an improvement. Everybody that's gotten away from the Rancho shocks that come on these things has always said that. Like I said, I think one of the best budget shocks out there is the Rough Country one. I've had great luck with them. I've put them on my dad's truck. Josh has used several sets of them. He really likes them, and I actually have them on the front of my 6.0. I don't have them on the rear. I will probably put them on the rear, but we'll see. So, yeah, I'm excited to try the Bilsteins. Did you do a review of Blessed Performance Extreme Tune for the 6.0? So I see Blessed Performance a lot on the Facebook pages, and when I get the 6.0 back, yeah, I'll happily do a review. Hopefully, like I said, I need the 6-liter back to do the review, but I'd be happy to work with him, and I'll reach out to him and see if cut me a deal so I can make that happen sooner, because when the 6.0 comes back, I have a feeling financially it's going to be a little tight for a bit. But I definitely am interested in doing as many tune reviews as I can. Let's see here. Controlled insanity. High pulling grades with no trailer. KC stage 2 on a 6-inch 37. What's your thoughts on lowering them? So controlled insanity. So quick question. You're on 37s. Are you on factory gearing or factory gearing? Do you have run factory gears in your diffs? And are you a 250 or a 350 dually? If you know what your gear ratio is, just drop that down below. So you definitely have a couple options here, because unloaded, you shouldn't really be having an issue. But my guess would be on the 37s. And I want to do a video on this too. This is something, probably my next video is going to be talking about turbos and how to kind of look at your whole setup, because a lot of people don't realize you can get away with, so your 373s. So if you're 250, I almost guarantee your 373s. I think that was the only one in a 250. I think in 350s there may have been a 410 option, and then the dualies, I think you could go 410s or 430s. So I want to talk, one of the videos I'm going to do more in depth than that I'll do here, but comparing your whole setup. A lot of people don't realize how much your turbo setup can be affected by your tire setup. So for instance, I'm on 35s on my 6.0, and I could tell a big difference towing my camper with my 35s and a Power Max turbo than I could with my 33s and a Power Max turbo. And let me tell you what it was. The Power Max is a good turbo. It's a lot of value for the money spent. Is it the best? No, it's not the best turbo, but it's a lot of value for the money spent out there. So when you go into the, when you're looking at all these things combined, you have a mechanical disadvantage when you go to a larger turbo. And the stage 2 KC isn't like this massive turbo, but it's a pretty big jump up from your factory turbos. It's also got the 10-blade turbine wheel, which gives you that huge whistle, which is just a beautiful sound. But it's actually really good for EGTs too. So the other thing I want to know, what tune are you running that you're having this issue? Because if I had to guess, it's probably a race tune or at least a hot street tune here. But so when you go to a larger turbo and a larger tire size at the same time, a 37's pretty well out of like factory range for what it can handle. I would probably be looking at 430s, or 433s. Quick Tricks Looney. The Looney is that their race tune or is that their hot street tune? I can't remember. I can't remember. Some of them have like a Looney and then maybe a Looney Plus or something. I think it's a hot street tune if I'm correct. But what happens is when you go to that bigger hot street, okay, so that makes sense. What EGTs are you seeing? Are you seeing like 1300 degrees, 1400, just pulling a hill? So what I was saying is when you go to a larger turbo, obviously you need to be higher in your RPM range to get that to spool. So then 1300 really isn't bad. Truth be told, it's not terrible, especially for that setup with factory gears and all that stuff. That's not a terrible exhaust temp to see. In comparison, when I go down the quarter-mile track, I see 1600 degrees. The last time I went down, that was with a Power Max and 175 stock nozzle injectors. I saw 1600, almost 1700 degrees down the quarter-mile. So you're fine. Now, as long as you're not sustained at 1300 degrees, you're going to be all right. Like when I tow, if I'm seeing 1100, 1200, I will say the setup on that truck typically starts, I'll hit like 1250 and then it starts coming down pretty fast. Then it settle about 1050 to 1100 degrees pulling grades normally. So, but anyway, so you went to a larger turbo and you went to larger tires. It gives you a mechanical disadvantage. So I would probably be considering a regear. Because you might be bogging your engine down a little bit with the bigger tires and stuff. You could also try Ficum tuning, like an Atlas 40 or even an economy, to help kind of fine tune the injector that you have. But the other thing is, unless you're seeing sustained 1300 degrees, I wouldn't be super concerned with that. That's not crazy uncommon. And for that setup that you're running, I'd actually kind of expect it. Now, other options, I think I saw someone actually bring up two really good options. One would be water meth injection, which is something I'm looking at with my 6.7. I want to do some testing with water meth in that. And the other one would be an intercooler upgrade. In talks about that. So if you're trying to lower your EGTs and you're like, and we're on the side where we're talking about airflow modifications, this is my belief on the 6-liter, is that the factory setup is super inefficient in certain ways. Like the intake manifold is a terrible design. It's cost effective. That's why it is the way it is it's cheap to produce. But when you go to something like an ODOG stage 2 or stage 3 intake, depending on legality issues that we won't get into here, the big thing there is you now have a huge area of air, and there's a significant decreased airflow in a 6-liter from the front cylinders to the rear cylinders. Like I've on ODOG Diesel's website, I think he quotes it, but it's massive. So when you go to the ODOG intakes, you basically you have the ODOG. I'm going to finish anyway. For those that don't know, when you go to the ODOG intake, you really get rid of a lot of that airflow issue. Now the rear cylinders can get all the air that they need. The other thing to consider is I run BD exhaust manifolds on my 6-liter, and I love them. They are fantastic. They're super heavy duty, and they're not going to warp like the factory jobs, because that's another thing to look at. I know if you have even a relatively small exhaust leak, it'll cause a lot of high temp issues. And if you have a nice setup though, if you already have the ODOG intake, you might already have the BD exhaust manifolds. You might be running stock too, I don't know. But that would be an upgrade that would help make sure that you're don't have any exhaust leaks, and that everything's running very well, and also help increase flow. So it could bring the exhaust temps down a little bit. I run the CSF 6028 intercooler, and I will say that was helpful. Is it going to dramatically drop them? Probably not, but I would say with your build, you're probably definitely exceeding the factory limitation. So if you haven't upgraded your intercooler already, I would also consider that. Again, along with the BD exhaust manifolds and potentially even their Y-pipe. I think they have a super nice Y-pipe. I think their Y-pipe's actually the nicest on the market. So let me quick get caught up on comments here, and then we can continue talking about that, man. 350, 410s. I think the Excursions came with the same gear ratio. I'm pretty certain they did. It's Amia. How you doing, brother? Welcome. So Controlled Insanity, if you were to go to a tow tune, I can guarantee that those temps would come down drastically. So I don't know how heavy you tow, but if you do tow heavy, nice. I mean, the up pipes are super nice. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying if you do the exhaust manifolds that you're going to see a huge increase, but you might have some type of exhaust leak that is very, very small. I know I had an exhaust leak on my 6-liter before I did the build, and I could not hear it or realize I had it until I was towing a grade with my 5th wheel. And then it was the worst towing trip I've ever done, because the whole time I had high EGTs, I had oil temps that were through the roof because the truck wasn't running the way it was supposed to because of this exhaust leak. And I found, I think the rear 2 cylinders on the driver's side was my exhaust leak by the manifold to the block. So something to consider checking out. But I would say, while those are high EGTs, yes, 1300 isn't terrible pulling with your setup. You could go down to smaller tires. You could, like I run a 2.5-inch lift in the front and a 4-inch in the rear, and 35s, and I don't typically have issues pulling grades. I'm also running a smaller injector though too. I'm running a smaller injector and a larger compressor side. How high of RPM do you think to hold up a 6 to 8 minute grade? Man, that's a long grade. I mean, what 6 to 8 minutes? That's got to be like a 10 at highway speed. That's got to be like a 10-mile grade. 1 second here. So, how high does the truck need to run? I mean, towing is one thing. I tend to like to drop it a gear while towing, which is one of the things I love about the 6.7 and newer vehicles is you have full control over that. In a 6.0, you just have to get in it. So if I had to guess, I'd say you're bogging down. I bet you're probably screaming to keep your EGTs down going up a grade, especially during that time. If I had to guess, you're probably upwards of 3,500. Are you going to be hard on the truck at that point? Yeah. Oh, and you're at altitude too. Holy smokes. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, that's actually really good. When you say that, I want to say that your stuff's running probably good because thinner air means your truck's going to make less power. You have less air, oxygen going in. The turbo helps with that, but going to a larger turbo at that altitude as well is going to run against you. It sounds like your truck's running like a top, really. In your case, I'd either consider a regear to put your RPMs where you need them at the speed you're running at the highway, or water meth, or going to smaller tires. I personally think the look of a 6-inch lifted truck is awesome. Maybe when I do the axle swap on the 6-liter, I've considered going up. Rippin' 6.0. I've actually looked at the BD tap shifter that switches over to like the newer style shifter for the 6.0s. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think it'd be a cool towing upgrade because it is nice to just be able to hit a button, drop down a gear, and pull the grade a little easier. Yeah, control insanity at that altitude, that is high. And you're definitely, the air being that much thinner, that's definitely I gotta say, I think you're okay to only be hitting 1,300 with big 37-inch tires. Those tires are heavy. When you're adding rotating mass on there, like there's something to be accounted for that because now your powertrain has to move that. So that's hard on everything. I'd say you're doing pretty good. Yeah, if you haven't done some of those upgrades, intercooler pipes, a nice set of them can net you a very small decrease, nothing super big. Again, that's more making sure you don't have leaks. I think that's where you really see the increase from the intercooler pipes is the aftermarket ones are significantly heavier duty than the factory stuff that you can get. And the pipes are, there's a little more engineering that goes into the pipes. Their budgets aren't what they're worried about. Quality is. So stuff to consider. The intercooler be a mild upgrade as well. If you were to do all those things, you might get a little bit, but it's not going to be, huge. So you do hit 1,400. You honestly might want to consider a water meth injection or backing off on the tune. Again, I mean, you have several different options. I don't know that I'd lower my truck and have to buy tires again unless it was time for tires and I wanted a different look because 37s aren't cheap, one, and used tire values in the dirt. I mean, I'm about to sell my tires on the truck because I have platinum wheels that I have that are going to go on it. So I'm going to be trying to sell the tires that are on it with the wheels that are on it. And I'll be lucky if I get 600 for everything, tires and wheels combined. So I don't know that I'd lower it and switch tires unless that's the look you really, really wanted. I would probably look into water meth and maybe upgrading those other components we talked about if you haven't already. That'll definitely do it. Hey, no problem, man. And again, there's other things, but a lot of them get super. You could regear, but you're probably talking $1,000 an axle, at least 800 parts and labor. So water meth should help. And yeah, let's see. I know I'm a little behind here. Let's see here. What would you look buying a stock of for Powerstroke? Only thing done is a truck, EGR delete. I actually do a video on what to look for when buying a used Powerstroke, a 6.0 specifically. And then I also I think it's the last video I did about what to do first when you get that 6.0. And I go into a lot of different things that you want to know when you're going to purchase a 6.0. So look up those videos. I might be able to pull some of them in here, actually. Let me pull up another page here and maybe get some links for everybody. So those two videos is what I would definitely check out for a super in-depth thing. But big things: get underneath the truck and put your hands on the suspension parts and see how loose everything is. I would bring a jack and a pry bar, and I would literally lift up the front of the truck. I'd put a pry bar under that front tire, and I'd pull up on it and check your ball joints. You're not going to be strong enough to do it by hand, because literally nobody's strong enough to do it by hand. Maybe Dwayne Johnson, but he's a monster. So there's that. I'd rotate the tire back and forth, check for play in it. Play could be in the U-joint. It could also be in the axle. This is the front suspension. And just check for any loose components up there. Also check for your oil leaks at that time while you're under there. You need to be able to be aware that a shop's most likely isn't going to let you do the most thorough inspection. They're going to try to limit that. So that's what I would check for up front. Again, the oil leaks, I would climb in, look down in the valley, look to see the engine block and make sure it's dry in the valley. If it's not, it could be the oil cooler leaking, which isn't a super big deal. It does happen, or high pressure oil pump leaking. Those would both be low pressure side leaks. What else would I be checking for under there? General condition, which dealerships are normally pretty good about cleaning stuff up. Check your fenders. Take your hand in the fender. Actually put your hand along it. Check for rust. You'll feel little bubbles if you have rust starting to come. And I'm not saying that means you shouldn't buy the truck. Just be aware what you're getting into. You know, it's different to purchase a vehicle and not realize what a dealer, I guarantee you, does know. And they're trying to probably hide. Now, I'm not saying all dealerships are bad. Just there's a lot of crappy dealerships out there. So take your hand along there and really look for what could be wrong with it. And then I go into monitors. Torque Pro is an excellent thing to have. Get a cheap OBD2 sensor and plug it in. Again, in the video, what to look for a 6.0, I have monitoring solutions in there. And also, again, in the other one, a little more of a advanced yet expensive one would be the CTS systems, the insights from Edge Performance, but they are amazing. They're a great tool for diagnosing stuff. You'll be able to now with Torque Pro and Forescan, also those are Android apps. I believe they're like $5 a piece. So 10, $15, you can monitor pretty much anything you'll need to go in and check out how a 6.0 is running. And you want to get it hot, and then you want to turn it off and try to turn it back on and make sure it starts right up. You don't want a long start, because what that means, you might be having a high pressure oil leak somewhere, or it could completely not restart until it cools down, in which case that dealer needs to fix high pressure oil leak. Your FICM is a big one. You want to make sure that don't let them start the truck for you. Tell them you want it cold, and you want to hook your monitor up, and you want to see your IPR percentage, your ICP. So when you go to crank it, your IPR shouldn't be hitting 85. If your IPR value hits 85, that tells you that that truck is commanding all the high pressure oil that it can get to start. That means there is some type of leak somewhere, or the pump is not working sufficiently, depending on year. Early style pumps tend to fail. Late style pumps almost never fail. To think here. FICM. So your FICM, you want to make sure that when you're cranking that truck over cold, that your FICM doesn't drop below 47 volts. If it hits anything under 47, your FICM's on the way out. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't buy a truck for that. A FICM's relatively easy to mess with, but at least you're aware of what's going on. Batteries, making sure your batteries stay at 12 volts. or higher when you're cranking it cold, at least 11.5 volts. Again, if you have low battery voltage, what the FICM does is it's essentially an amplifier. It turns 12 volts into 48 volts to fire your injectors in the truck. So if it's trying to make 48 volts out of 10 volts going in, you're going to have an issue. This would also be the time to check your alternator, because that's the other part that will help fail a FICM, is if your electrical system isn't charging right. Oil cooler, once it's at operating temp, get on the highway, drive 65 miles an hour down a flat stretch of road. Make sure your oil temps stay under 15 degrees. Now, I say this, if you're at 10 and under, you're fine. As you start creeping over that 10-degree mark with an oil cooler, you need to start considering alternatives of what to do, either looking into back flushing or looking into replacing the oil cooler entirely. Doesn't mean your oil cooler, get some water here. Doesn't mean that your oil cooler has failed. What it does mean, though, is that it is getting clogged up and it's going to likely fail in the near future. So, a lot of new people here coming in, and I'm loving it. So glad you guys are here. I'm gonna keep doing this throughout this video. Shameless merch plug. I'm so happy to get to actually say that. 6obro t-shirts on Amazon, link down in the description. There's like 3 colors available, and there's a second shirt. I'm still waiting for that shirt to come to me before I can do it. This is the standard shirt, and I like the standard shirt. It's only 16 bucks. Back to buying a 6-liter. So those would be my big things to look at. You know, a lot of general maintenance stuff is really it. Oil filter cap, make sure it's the correct one. There's a tall guy. If it's like that tall, the oil filter cap, it's the wrong guy. It should only be about that tall. I think that is the bulk of what to look at. Controlled Insanity, man, thank you. Really appreciate it. I'm happy to help. This is part of what the channel was made for, was to help people. So that's what I want to keep doing moving forward. So Nick has a great question, James. Do you know if it's an early 04 or a late 04? And 04 is a ridiculous year, 6-liter to get into. And Rich, don't worry, I am going to get there. I see your question. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. So 04, there's literally 3 different setups. So there's the early 04s that are complete 03 engines, meaning the oil log under the valve cover is just a straight log. That is the early style oil log. Ford refers to it as a fuel log, but it only carries oil to fire your injectors in the Huey injection system. So, which they stopped after the 6-liter. Everything else since then has been common rail, but the 6-liter. So now if you have the straight style oil rails, you also have the early style pumps, which are prone to failure. The perk to this setup, though, is you have a lot less oil leaks, high pressure oil leaks that'll cause no starts. They can happen, and typically they are, typically the only common one on an early truck is you have the high pressure oil pump cover that sits over top of the oil pump, and there's a J tube. So it literally looks like a J, and there's an O-ring on top of that. You can get a leak there, especially if you have to pull that cover off and you don't put that on exactly straight. You can tear that O-ring. I've done this once already. And that can be fun to figure out later. So I did destroy that O-ring. I did replace the high pressure oil pump just because I was getting up there. That being said, now currently they have re-released housings that fix this issue. I recommend CNC Fab. That's who I use with mine. Really happy with the stage 1. Turns out a little bit higher, can run a little bit higher injector if you want it. The Ford ones, though, I'm sure have the updated housing as well, but just something to consider for them. Now, the next one keeps that high pressure oil pump, but has the wavy style fuel rails or oil rails. That is actually my favorite setup. That is what, if I end up needing a long block, that is probably what I'll convert my truck to, is the early style pump with the late style oil rails. Now, those typically also came with the later style turbo. You also got the ICP sensor on the passenger side valve cover There's some differences in the fuel lines up to the fuel bowl at that point as well. And then there's the last one, which is a full 05 setup. It has the later style pump that's super reliable. And then it has all the crap that's prone to leaking. So your snap to connect fitting off your high pressure oil pump that's been updated, your standpipes and dummy plugs that have been updated. But the ICP sensor is vastly more reliable, and the high pressure oil pump almost never fails, despite what everybody on every Facebook page will tell you. That's really probably that they've been had by somebody at a mechanic shop that, you know, ended up replacing a high pressure oil pump because they didn't know what they were doing. There are great 6.0 mechanics out there, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people don't fully understand them, and they do goofy stuff, which leads to people giving a dumb advice later. Yeah, Nick, you can, there is that, like, there's a hybrid in there where you get all the late features with the early style pump. And like I said, that's my favorite setup, actually. Now, Rich, before it's a Mia, yeah. So the 05 pump did actually release in late 04. Is the first time that this happened. So there are trucks that are 04, like Josh's truck, for instance, has the late style pump. I have the early style pump. We both have 04s. So they are in there. It's just they were getting rid. I assume what they were doing is getting rid of old stock before they put in new stock, which the late pump will fit in the early style housing, but you have to change the branch tubes, which you need to pull the rear backing off the engine to mess with. So it's not really worth typically changing, because you have to mess with so much stuff. So unless everything's out of there, it's not worth it. So what about trans temp? 2011 6.7 to 7,000 pounds. So 225's hot. So we'll talk about the 6.7 transmission. Unloaded, I will say, even loaded, pulling some grades, I haven't seen over like 205 degrees in my 6.7 yet. I think that's accurate. I have to go back and check my video, but I think that's really the max I hit. So what to consider here? So the 6.7 transmission, 6-speed, 6 usable speeds in a shifting range here, and it's a very high pressure system, which will cause heat. And it's actually, you're in the safe zone still. It freaks me out too. And one of the things I want to do is find ways to lower the 6.7 transmission temp. So that is something I'm looking into in a future build, because it just freaks me out that it's that high. My 5R in the 6-liter, I think the most I ever saw was like 180, 175. And that was when I was using the transmission to help slow down a massive grade, where I go from about a little less than 2,000 foot elevation to like 800 foot elevation in a relatively short time. So that's the only time I ever saw a higher temp. Unloaded, the 6.7 will see 200 all day. I typically don't drive long enough to hit 200, but 190, 195 is pretty common. So it is part of this high pressure system. So one of the things Ford brags about with the 6R is that it'll hold a gear down to 900 RPM. So that's kind of the trade-off. Now, I'll say this, they seem to be durable. The 6R has been an excellent transmission. Apparently in 15, they did pull a few clutch packs out. So the 15 and newer 6Rs apparently weren't quite as durable. However, they still handle upwards of 650 horsepower in factory spec. But technically, the 11 through 14 transmissions were better. Controlled insanity, some of that's because of your setup, brother. With those 37s and stuff, that's a lot. Again, now if you were to give it the mechanical advantage of what's it called? The mechanical re-gearing, that would probably help bring that back down. So yes, you're fine. Is it hot? You're probably getting into, I have a buddy that his 6.7, now his camper's about, I want to say 1,500 pounds heavier than mine. And he sees, when he's pulling hills in West Virginia with his fifth wheel, He sees 225. I did not see that in mine, and I had transmission temp up the entire time. I saw about 205 with 13,000 pounds. So I am going to look into it. I am planning on doing a deep dish transmission pan and getting fresh fluid in it and a fresh filter. I'm also looking into transmission coolers that could potentially aid in helping out as well. So it's something I'm aware of. I haven't seen 225 personally yet, and I don't know if there was an upgrade in 15. Now my buddy's 6.7's a 15 as well. I don't know if there was an upgrade or anything like that, but you are fine. You think you are towards the upper limits of fine for working the truck, but it's kind of the trade-off of it. Now, my Duramax buddy, when I'd used his Duramax to tow, I think I saw, and again, I'd have to go back, don't hold me this, I want to say about 170 degrees. But that Allison transmission isn't as high of a pressure to hold the gears out. So there, again, it's a trade-off. I don't know if forged route is necessarily superior. I can tell you from driving the two, you can't really tell a difference in the transmission other than the 6.7 seems to have a little more get up and go than the 6.6. And some of that's because in the 15s you have 40 extra horsepower or 43 extra horsepower over the 6.6 Duramax of the same year. So what's the best oil to run? Pretty much stock, so just an economy tune on it. Thanks. So MB, always get lots of oil questions, and this has really been my stance pretty much the whole time. The importance is just making sure you're doing getting quality oil. So I recommend Motorcraft or Schaefer's. Those are the ones I go to. I haven't tried Schaefer's yet, though. That'll be when my truck comes back. I'm going to try Schaefer's in it. But Motorcraft is fine. Truthfully, I know people get super weird about oil. I do like running arch oil in my 6.0. It seems to work well. I'm going to try it in my 6.7 soon. But yeah, you're fine. Just making sure you're doing the oil change and that you're being on top of that maintenance. Arch oil will help it run better. Your injectors will thank you in the long haul. But just making sure you're doing your oil changes when you're supposed to. Don't try to see how long. Like when people get, oh, I sent my oil out for a report and they said it's still fine. I think that's kind of dumb. You're really going to risk losing a set of injectors. Or something more catastrophic, spinning a bearing or something, over pushing your oil changes out further. And some of those guys won't change their oil filter. I think that's asinine. So make sure you're doing your changes. Motorcraft oil is relatively inexpensive, all things considered, especially if you get a Ford dealer that you start going in and buying parts, they start cutting you a little bit of a deal because you're there all the time. We drive 6 liters. We're there all the time. And they, I think like it costs like $75-80 for me to use Motorcraft oil from my local dealership. And that's with filter. Now, again, I do throw the arch oil in there. I really like it. I'm curious if it'll do anything in the 6.7, but, I know at one point Hot Shots had reached out to me about potentially working with them, and then I never heard back from them. So whatever. Let's see here. Do you think headsets are required to tune when you're having no issues with bolts? So I kind of talk about this in my last video, and this actual point right here is one of the reasons I made. What's going on over here? Oh, phone's fully charged, guys. So this was one of my driving factors for the last video. Is I get a lot of questions about, or I see a lot on the Facebook pages. Should I stud my truck? I'm getting a 6.0. I want to stud it. And if you're not having issues, save your money. You drive a 6-liter. Good chance it could happen. Now, if you're at 232,000 miles, what I'm going to say is you got one of the 6 liters that the specs were right where they needed to be. I made it to about 180,000 miles before I had issues, and I never blew gaskets. Actually, the gaskets looked relatively good. Maybe here and there I had a few spots, but nothing major that the head was lifting. What I did have was a cracked cylinder head. There we go. which is what led me to buy the Kill Devil diesel heads, which led me down the rabbit hole of cam and push rods and the build that is my 6-liter. So if you're not having issues, don't do it. I ran tune for 100,000 miles before I had issues. I don't feel the tune caused me any issue. 6.0 heads crack because International did a dumb thing. And what that dumb thing is they hardened the iron head. So when you harden a gray iron head, which is the iron used in the 6.0 head, what happens is it becomes brittle. So it gives you the wear characteristics for your valve seat, but it makes the iron brittle and prone to cracking. So they crack into your water jackets, and then you end up with issues. So yeah, if you're not having issues, I'd run it. Would I plan for it? Absolutely. And my recommendation is when that day comes, make sure you're saving the money up. When that day comes, call Kill Devil Diesel, get a set of their cylinder heads, stud it. Go with shorter push rods. Even if you don't do the cam, just go with shorter push rods. It will be easier on your lifters in the long haul. And it'll also, lifters do go out in 6.0. They go out more in 6.7 or 6.4s, but it'll be easier on your lifters and your cam. Like, it's a really aggressive factory cam, which is why it's nice to upgrade your cam if you can. But that you go from $4,500-ish to like $7,000 at that point, because you most likely they're going to pull your engine because it's a whole thing. But that's neither here nor there. I wouldn't stud it if you're not having issues. I didn't run anything crazy hot in the truck. I ran tow tune for most of it, a few SCT performance tunes, and then I did get a 100 horsepower tune towards the end there, and I really liked that. That was a fun tune. And then now I've really messed with a lot of other tunes since then. But if you're being conservative, a 40 horsepower tow tune or like maybe a 60 horsepower street tune, and you'll love it. Rich, no problem, man. Thank you. Glad you like the channel. Thanks for the support. Always appreciate what you guys do for me. Dinner time out. Thank you. No. Oh, probably one of the few times someone could say leaning me to meth and it not be like a felony charge or something. So no problem, man. If you're still in here, I appreciate it. With all this federal hate and push towards electric. Oh man, the push towards electric is dumb because they really don't consider the fact that electricity has to come from somewhere. And like they saw in the desert, that whole like huge solar panel setup, it's raised the desert temperatures. So I'm not saying that like the diesels can't continue to improve and emit less emissions, but the federal government is way too hard on diesels. Oh, I'm starting to lose my voice already. It's out of control. It's ridiculous, and I can't stand it. Because they don't see, the vehicle themselves don't produce any emissions, but the factories do. There's consequences for everything we do, and they never really look at those consequences. It's like, oh, this is better because this makes me feel better. And it's stupid. But that would involve people using logic and not their emotions to come up with decisions. But that's a whole nother conversation. So, but controlled insanity, man. If you're in here, thank you. If you're in here before, if I didn't lose you before dinner, thank you very much. And always happy to help. Always drop a comment in the video, guys, if you need help, or even if you just want to say hi. I always try to respond to everybody. I really appreciate it. So, JVKE. I don't know if that's supposed to say something or it's random letters. I'm going to call you Jay, though. So, Jay, I will say, if you're looking at doing a whole bottom end build, if I could go back and do anything, I would have just bought a Kill Devil Diesel long block. A stage 1 long block is going to be, it's Jake. Okay. Jake, sorry, man. Jake, so if you're going that route, just get a Kill Devil diesel engine when the time comes. Hopefully you have many more miles before that comes. But if you get a long block from Kill Devil, you get a 3-year unlimited mile warranty. I'm not paid to say that. They did give me a discount on some parts when I bought them for my build, but I'm not paid to promote them like I do. I just believe in what Kill Devil does, and 3-year unlimited mile warranty is huge. Now, I'm sure there's limits. Like if he finds out you're running, hybrid injectors and 400 series non-VGT, he might have something to say about that. But for most people, a stage 1 Kill Devil diesel long block is going to last them many years. It's blueprinted, everything's balanced perfectly. You can get the aluminum heads on there, and it's just going to work right. Like that is the route. I wish I went that route. I would have saved probably $2-3 grand in the build, and I wouldn't have my current issues, one. And I think I wouldn't have had to take a step back from 6.0 content for you guys. So live and learn, but I wish I had gone that route instead of the route I did go. So something to consider when that time comes, and even more to consider on not studying it now, just waiting and setting that money aside. Because I may have said, I rattled that off like we're talking about a couple $1,000s, but in all honesty, if you want to do the whole shebang, you're talking like $7 grand probably to get it to you, if not a little more. So maybe 7,300 with shipping. And then I know my mechanic quoted about 1,500 to swap components over onto the new long block, and then put the long block in the truck. About $1,500 for that, and that's with lifting the cab, pulling the old engine out, putting the new one in. So food for thought, man. I know I don't want you to think I'm just saying these numbers because I don't have that kind of money right now either. But I don't want people to think I'm just rattling off down $10,000 like it's no joke. It's a lot of money. 05 F250 studded, deleted, tuned, T4 kit, 6.4 bolts. Got a few questions for future upgrades. Let's see here. John, I need to come straight out and say I am not the world's foremost knowledgeable on non-VGT. So bear with me on that. I know an S369 nets you in the 600, 650 range with proper sized injectors. So I'm gonna say 550. I think you're probably able to make 550 with that turbo, maybe a little more. And I know I have a turbo sponsor, Turbo Time USA, but for non-VGT stuff, I always send people to KC Turbo. I have no affiliation with them. Charlie's a nice guy, and a little bit, he's super knowledgeable, and he's contributed so much to the 6.0 community. So for non-VGT stuff, I would go talk to him. They are one of the nicest companies you'll talk with. Their reputation is well earned. Again, for VGT stuff, I'm diehard Turbo Time USA with my little 5% discount code for their performance turbos, which let me write that down there for people that don't know what the coupon code is. That'll get you 5% off, but since you already have the non-VGT setup, and I know Charlie, I'm pretty certain Charlie loves the 363s, even for towing. So definitely hit him up. He'll be able to help you more than me in that category. But I do think 550 is there. And 363, I'm pretty certain is a very fast spooling turbo, so I don't think smoke will be much of an issue for you. Injectors, again, that's going to be more of a KC Turbo question. 190/30s, I think would be a good size for that. I think you're on the right track with that build. What do you need transmission mods for? Yeah, I think that sounds like a nice setup. Again, I would just confirm it with Charlie, who's going to be much more knowledgeable about that turbo and injector setup than me. I really know VGT well, and I'm working on learning the non-VGT side of the 6.0. I'm just not there yet to be able to give you all that information. I don't want to lead you down the wrong path, because when you talk injectors, you're talking $2 grand for a nice set of injectors. So with nozzles. So I don't want you to waste money when for all I know, Charlie could say, hey, get a set of 175s. I love 175 stock nozzles. but I don't know if that's big enough for what, for what you're doing. So I would definitely look at him. Transmission modifications for that. So I'm a big fan of make sure you're getting fresh fluid in your transmission. Don't leave transmission fluid in there from forever. Get it changed every 50, 60,000 miles, especially when you're talking performance builds, when you're running the truck much harder than it was designed to work. You definitely need to make sure you're keeping your transmission fluid. If you keep your transmission fluid clean, I'm not saying flush it, I'm saying drop your pan, get rid of the old stuff, put the 6.4 filter in, get a nice thick pan for it. Like I run a BD on mine, which is a nice setup. Magtech makes a super nice pan as well. AFE makes pans, PPE. There's a whole bunch out there, but make sure you're putting one of them on. That'll help add rigidity to the case. So you get this torsional, like my hand's in here. So like here's the front, here's the rear, and they kind of work against each other a little bit as it's going. Now it's not obviously this much, but there's torsional flexion in there, and it can cause certain ports in there not to quite line up. And when you get that case, it'll help kind of stiffen up that setup and prevent some of that. And it'll prevent some of that 3 to 5 shift flare that's very common with 6 liters. And then again, the 6.4 filter is a better filter. It filters more and a much larger volume. And then with the added capacity, that'll help keep your fluid nice and clean and that case rigidity. And that's really all you should do. Don't use the upgraded solenoids. I hate these things. People bring them up into my attention all the time. They're just increasing pressure. It's an electronic transmission. Let your tuning change that. Don't waste money on these upgraded solenoids, because your tuning company in turn is just going to have to pull that out of it then. Let the tuning do what it needs to do. These guys have so many hours of testing these transmissions. Their tuning is much better than these upgraded solenoids people use. It's just, that's my opinion. I know I get a little frustrated on that one, but let your tuning do what makes transmission tuning amazing. You don't need those mechanical things. It's not 7.3s where you need to change your valve body out to make it do what you need it to do. So that's it for transmission upgrades. For fuel upgrades, besides the regulated return, so a healthy factory pump might be able to use those injectors. You should be good with a healthy high pressure oil system. You should be able to fire a 190/30 fine. If you do need to upgrade your fuel, like if you're seeing less than 45 psi on a race tune with that, I run a fast system on my truck. I love it. I want to say this. I think the Air Dogs are just as good now. I think there was a time where they had quality issues, but I think Air Dog is just as good as fast. I see people raving about each in the same light, and I see people complaining about each at the same rate. So either or would be excellent. Like I said, I like my fast. I would run a sump to a fast system, and then I actually have mine. I run from the fast pump all the way up. I ran new lines up right to it, and if you get a regulated return, you'll plumb right into that. Be a nice setup. Driven Diesel has a super nice regulated return that I will probably end up running on my truck. Gurlet. Let's see here. So Gurlet, you're on 37s on a 6 liter. So I'm assuming it's going to be a 250 because they're normally the most common. So you have 373 gears. Does it bug you? Do you do a lot of highway driving where you're winding out gears and such to get your RPMs where you need them? Or you're running too low and bogging down? If you like 37s in your setup, you might want to change them. Trying to think here. I'd probably be looking at least like if I was going to go the re-gear route, if I was going to run 37s, and like that would drive me insane with factory gearing. So I would probably at least re-gear to a 410, if not a 430. A 410 is kind of a very small upgrade, so I'd probably look more at a 430, which should bring it very close to the factory gear ratio. Let's see. Never thought about that. I don't plan to do anything crazy, just wanting to push a little over 500, so I'll definitely look into that. Is it bad that I already oh yeah. Now I remember what I was saying. Yeah, definitely check out Kill Devil Diesel, man. For a mild street build. So a while ago I did an injector video about 6 liters. And here's my opinion. You have stock injectors, 175 stock nozzle injectors, and then a 205/30. That set of injectors will cover, in my opinion, 98% of 6-liter owners. For the people that want a hot truck, like to push over 500 horsepower, a 175 stock nozzle, perfect injector. In my opinion, you want to go a little wilder than that, I would go to a 205/30. So the bigger bodied injector will help increase pressure being pushed out the nozzle than if you go with a smaller bodied injector and a large injector. I don't think, for what you're talking about, Jake, you don't need to go to a 7. Honestly, you don't need to go to a 30% over injector. 175 stock nozzle injector will make about 520 horsepower with if everything's perfect in your setup. My white truck weighs about 7,900 pounds on the scale, and that's ran a 13.6, and I think it probably could have run a 13.4. That wasn't quite at sea level, but it wasn't crazy up there either in altitude. So a 13.4 is probably the most it would run, but the 13.6, what I actually ran, and that was on a 34.4-inch tire and about 11.5 wide with an 18-inch wheel. And the reason that's important is, again, you add rotating mass, it's going to change a lot. Adding rotating mass to your truck versus adding just flat weight in the bed will affect you more when it's part of your drivetrain. So something to keep in mind. But for 500 horsepower, you don't need to go, like a 175 stock nozzle will make 500 horsepower easy. That's what I run with the power. Well, that's when I ran that 13.6. I had a Power Max turbo. I had what did I, and the 175 stock. My fuel system I had, the cam I had, all my airflow mods were done at that time. So that was my setup. But now if you wanted like a super hot street truck, 205/30 in my opinion is where you should go. A lot of guys run 175/30s. I just think, like, we're talking like $100 to $150 to go to a 205/30, and you get a lot more injector at that point. That's going to be capable of upwards of 600 horsepower if you have all the supporting stuff you need. So a 155 should net you about 500 on a rate. No, not with a stock turbo. You're probably around 470-ish, if I had to guess. If you went to like a Power Max, would be one way. Turbo Time USA offers the. I'll actually put a link to them. This is an affiliate link. So, sorry, I'm not great at multitasking. So that link there should automatically apply a discount code if you want to look at turbos. They have the 61 millimeter turbo, which would be a nice upgrade for 155s. The 64 millimeter turbo is my preference for most people. I just think there's a little more to it. I like it. But either turbo should net you in the 500 horsepower range. A 61 millimeter have a little faster spool up than the 64, so that's something to consider. But you're probably about 470. If you wanted to hit the 500 range, you would need one of those turbos to do it. Either one should net you 500 horsepower, though. And again, I 5% off there. There's other great companies I'm not affiliated with. I always reference, like, the big thing I try to do, guys, is I want to be honest with you all. And there's Turbo Time USA sponsors me. I'm super grateful for their help. But KC Turbo makes a fantastic product with a great reputation. So to consider him. And again, it's not about, I've actually talked with Turbo Time about this, in that my big goal is to get information and facts out there, not just hype people up. And while I love my Turbo Time USA, they're fantastic. Titan Turbo Services and KC Turbo deserve a shout out. I have no affiliation with them at all, but excellent companies if you're interested in it. I have no coupon codes for them, and I'm not, again, not affiliated, but great stuff. 1 second, guys. Have I talked about these awesome shirts? So you guys don't know how excited I am about this shirt. No problem, man. Let's see here. What do you guys have? You guys have any more questions for me? Nick's letting me down today. Nick normally like keeps this going, gets his friends to come in here, and keep this chat going for 3 hours. We're not even at the halfway point if we're going to do 3 hours. So let's talk about the route for the 6.7, where I think we're going to go with the 6.7 here. So plans: finish fixing the suspension, which we're almost done. Thank God. I'm tired of working on suspension parts. From there, we are going to look at, where's your question? I don't see it, Nick. Did I miss it? Did I ignore it? I didn't mean to. I did miss Wendy saying about Arch Oil. I love Arch Oil. Great product. Nick, send another question. I missed it. I don't see it here, man. It didn't show up. So the 6.7. Suspension getting fixed. We're going to put some tires on it with the platinum wheels I have, which I'm going to do a video cleaning them up because I found a really good product to get rid of brake crap on your wheels. Excuse me. And stage 2 LST cam. What's LST? I'm not familiar with that. So the 6.7, after that, we are going to work on figuring out if I can install the BD Diesel exhaust manifolds. They look awesome. I'm going to do a video just showing them soon because they are freaking awesome. It's a nice setup you get. I also have, I'm going to do a video cleaning the lower intake plenum of the 6.7 because it gets junked up with a bunch of carbon. So I bought one to clean, and then I'll swap them out. Then I'll probably resell the other one I have to let someone else do the exact same thing. Now, I will probably clean that up for them. I won't just send it out. But so that'll be the plan there. And then we're really going to start getting into tuning. I do want to do an intake. I do want to do an exhaust. Low shock technology retains stock valve springs. Huh. I'm not familiar with low shock technology. Let me pull up a screen. Let's put them low shock tech. There we go. I will have to look into them. I am not familiar with them in any way, shape, or form, Nick. So when I get a chance, I will pull them up and check them out. Feel better. So yeah, when I do the next one, I will probably go to a slightly higher valve spring weight. And the big thing to look at with that is that'll let you pull more RPMs. So I don't plan to go crazy on RPMs because honestly, you don't need to make 750, 800 horsepower, which again is what I'm shooting for with the 6-liter. But you don't need to pull 4,500 RPMs. But I do hear 6 liters sound awesome pulling 4,500 RPMs. I think you can almost actually wind them out to about $5,000. I think a lot of people racing go 47 to 4,900 RPMs. Mine currently was shifting at about 41, 42 if I was like full throttle in it down the track. But yeah, I'll check them out. I don't want to check them out now because I don't want to ignore the live stream, but later when I get some time, I'll look into that. So the 6.7. After we finish getting the suspension fixed and getting the tires on, I am going to probably tune it. We are going to start. I do also want to do I do want to do an exhaust. We're going to do a DPF exhaust back. I am going to do a video polishing up the factory exhaust tip because mine looks like crap. But we are going to go with an exhaust. And I think at first I'm going to try literally the cheapest exhaust I can find for the 6.7 because I think people will want to know about it. I don't think that I'm going to really super like it's a diamond eye one. And you can find them for like $215-ish, something like that. So $215, and that was the stainless steel one. I definitely want to stick with stainless steel. Now Josh's exhaust is holding up fine on his truck, but stainless steel is just a better material than the aluminized steel, I think they call it, which I think is just like galvanized aluminum, if I remember right. So yeah, we're going to do that. And then really get into some tuning with that. Now, there are going to be some actual cosmetic stuff. Like we're going to do headlights, taillights. I really need to do taillights on that darn thing. So, Nick, you're bringing up a really good point. And this is actually kind of a fun talking point that I don't hear a lot of guys talk about. So it goes into parasitic loss in your valve train. What that means is, depending on, to an extent, yes, you may need to go to a higher spring, depending on what your boost is. But if you have too high of a spring and not enough boost at the same time, you create parasitic loss. Vice versa, if you're running too much boost and not enough fuel, like if you don't need that boost to burn the fuel, you're going to also cause parasitic loss in horsepower. So you may have the turbo, it'd be like running a 400 series non-VGT turbo and like 205/30 injectors. You're going to have way more boost capability than fuel needed. And if you're not pulling boost out of that setup, you're going to cause parasitic loss in the setup. The same goes for those spring pressures. If your spring's too high because people say, hey, you need to increase your spring pressure to compensate for everything, there is a point where you need to do that. You will, depending on how hot of a truck you want to build, you definitely need to increase your spring pressure. But again, that's more of a high RPM thing where you're talking like, you're at 4,600 RPMs is where you're going to run into issues where you need more valve spring pressure. Then the factory, I think, is about 80 pounds. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain it's 80 pounds. And I don't know what the formula to figure out at what point you need more spring to boost. But typically, if you're running a VGT turbo, you're probably not going to need to. Now, maybe the real large turbos when you have big injectors, you might need to. Like my, I don't even think for my 66 millimeter turbo that I'm running from Turbo Time, I don't even think that would require larger or more spring pressure. But parasitic loss is something that I think is really cool that a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people want to talk about boost because it's a measurable number. And like when people go from stock turbos to Power Maxes or a similarly sized turbo, they expect to see a huge boost increase. But what's actually happening is at a lower boost number, that turbo is producing more airflow. So a Power Max at 28 psi or at 20 psi of boost. Again, the Power Max is 63.5 by I think it's 88 millimeters. At 20 psi of boost, it's flowing as much as a factory turbo is at 28 psi of boost. So what's good about that is the lower the boost number, the less you're heating up the air. So that can aid. That's why you'd want to go to a larger turbo for certain setups. You have 40 psi of boost, 40 psi. 40 pounds of spring pressure holding the valve closed. Nick, I mean, I think you have a point there. I mean, I've been in the mid 30s with boost before. And I'm not running enough injector for my current turbo to really, I mean, my current turbo shouldn't hit more than 28, 30 PSI tops. Because it's a 66 millimeter, it's a pretty large turbo for what I'm doing. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying you don't have a point. It's just something a lot of guys don't. You clearly seem to understand it even more than me, but a lot of guys don't always understand it, and they want to upgrade their valve springs without fully understanding why you would want to do that. And a guy like, Jared at Kill Devil Diesel could talk much more, or Asheville Engines, Diesel Doctor of Tennessee, which he is. Diesel Doctor is Choate Engineering, or however you say his company name. Those are probably the three biggest engine builders for 6 liters. Super Duty Service does a nice job, but he really doesn't get into the performance side of stuff. He just does very reliable rebuilds of 6 liters. But he is trying out some new stuff. I was actually pretty happy to see that he had an O-Dog intake and a BD set of exhaust manifolds on something. I think he now recommends the BD exhaust manifolds on stuff. Super nice guy over there too. I've talked with him a little bit, or I shouldn't say. I've talked with his wife a few times. I've never actually. I don't think I've ever talked to him personally, but he did give me a shout out on one video. The best 6.0 Powerstroke. The best year 6.0 Powerstroke, he gave me a shout out on. But those performance shops are going to be able to talk more about valve spring. I don't know if 40 pounds is enough to keep them shut against things. In my head, I feel like it should be, but I could be wrong too. That could be a point where you start seeing parasitic loss again. So those guys that understand it much more intimately than I do would be a quick thing. It's quick too, man. It's been a while. How you doing, brother? Since I know you didn't see, shirts are officially released. Link to the Amazon account. They take care of all the printing and labeling. This is the standard t-shirt, and I love it. It's really nice. I have the premium one, which is a little more expensive coming, and I'll be able to let you guys know how that is. Although if it's bad or not any nicer than this, I'm just going to take that one down. I don't want people spending money if it's not actually giving them anything in it better than what the standard one is. Jake, all right. So the factory setup on a 6.0 is a 2-bar system, which comes out to about 28, 29 PSI. That it can accurately read. Depending on your tuning, it'll read higher. Sometimes they spoof the reading of your boost gauge. I know I saw 35 PSI, 36 on my factory one, but once it's getting over 28 PSI, it's really essentially an estimate. And if you're on a stock tune, I would say I would have some reservations about that. I don't know that would really hit that. I don't know if I ever really monitored boost on my factory setup. I feel like I got into checking that after the fact. But yeah, it's essentially an estimate after 28, 29 PSI. Like I'd say probably up to 30 is relatively accurate. And towing, I typically see about when I had my Power Max Turbo, when I know I was monitoring it, I saw about 30 pulling grades. I never saw more than that. But again, the Power Max is flowing significantly more air at that 30 PSI than the factory one would be at 35. I would say you're probably at 35 PSI, I guarantee, as someone that I know has run a factory turbo at 35 PSI and it did not like it, you're well out of the efficiency range now for the factory turbo. And you can run into some issues. Those bearings can only hold so much. You're probably in the range of overspinning that turbo and you could have an issue. Now, fortunately, what happened with mine is I on the exhaust side only is where there was damage. The compressor side was fine, but on the exhaust side, man, I had it was chewed up. There's a video of me with the Power Max Turbo installed where I show what I did. No, it wasn't that video. I forget what video it was. It may have been when I was messing around with that Turbo Labs America clown. That stuff, his stuff didn't work at all. But that was a disaster. I wish there's $400 I wish I had back. But I showed like it chewed up the turbine wheel. Nothing went through it, but the bearing gave out and allowed that turbine wheel, instead of just spinning like this on the shaft, it would spin. Now my compressor wheel was fine, so I didn't blow junk through my engine, but yeah, big issues on the exhaust side. Let's see here. It's quick too. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I hope you like it. There's 3 colors available on this one, and I think 4 colors on the premium, which I am going to do more designs. I'm going to get a white logo too, so I can do like black. There's some darker colors I'd like navy blue and black. So I will get a white logo at some point, but I'm really digging. The video kind of makes it look like this isn't coming up super clear, but it is. It is. I'm really loving this shirt. It's a Mia. That's another good point, is it could be stuck turbo vanes causing you to boost that high. That does seem too high. Jake, yeah. Then I'd say you might want to pull that off and clean the exhaust side. Which is better? OEM blue hose from oil cooler to EGR, or a 3/4 inch radiator hose and stainless hose clamps. So Mike, that is not. Oh crap, that's right. Sorry, it's been so long since I had. So the blue hose is actually the upgraded one. There was a red one that I actually had on my truck when I first bought it, until I pulled it apart. The blue one is fine. I haven't seen much issues with them. I'd say you're probably running into more issues with the radiator hose and the stainless steel clamps than you would just getting a new factory one. Man, it's been a long time since I've looked at that part. Taking me back. Let's see here. Yep, it's quick too. Good, excellent advice there. Yeah, Jake, you definitely need to probably pull that. Odds are your turbo's still fine, but you probably definitely need to clean up the exhaust side and put it back together. Oh, Mike, if it's not leaking, don't change it. Now, I'll say this. If you have to go in for an oil cooler, then I would change it. But I wouldn't just do I wouldn't just do it just for the sake of doing it. Jay Hill, how you doing, man? Let's see here. Yeah. Tell me about loving COVID as I work in healthcare. Yeah, I'm so over COVID. I'm not even going to get started on it. Everyone be safe, but yeah, the mail delays and stuff. At least Amazon returned to normal. There for a while, you couldn't get anything on Amazon. It was the most ridiculous thing, taking a month for stuff to ship. I was not happy. You know what shipped in less? You know what came to me in less than 24 hours, though, guys? T-shirt. True story. Which is one of the reasons I love that this stuff's on Amazon. Fast shipping, prime shipping, guys, right here. Jay, as you have not been in here, we have shirts available now. I'm sure there's a few people that have left because I keep bringing up my shirts because I'm super excited about them. But link in the description for the Amazon affiliate link to purchase these from. Amazon's making them. Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. I will be having more designs coming out. I was talking about that. I don't know if you were in for it. We are going to do a white logo still. I just have to figure out how to make the file white so I can do darker colored t-shirts. And as we get into late September, I plan to do hoodies and long sleeve shirts. They have the baseball shirts too. So we have a lot of stuff that will be coming out. And now that we're started with the merch, I plan to continue it. But I wanted to make sure that you guys, once it came out, that there was a reliable way for you to get it with with fast shipping and not a bunch of nonsense for you guys. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't botch the release of stuff. So I hope you guys like it. This is the standard shirt. I love it. The premium one is coming tomorrow, and I think it's coming tomorrow. And I'll wear it. I'll lay it. Sorry. If it's not worth the extra $4, I'm going to take it off the Amazon store link that I have there. And if it is worth it, I'll keep it up if it is actually a nicer shirt. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when that comes. How much more horsepower would I make if I got smaller wheels? So I talked to a dyno operator about this when I had the first dyno the 6-liter did. I talked to the dyno operator and said, how does this work with larger tires? Because I had 34s on. And he said it messes with the numbers a little bit, but not as much as people think. Now, I will say, if I remember it, I think you said you had 37s. That is a big tire, and you're going to see a loss there. I don't know how much, but there's definitely going to be a loss of some extent. Worthwhile putting a new compressor wheel unit or a turbo wheel in there. So here's my thoughts on this. One, if you want to upgrade, do KC turbos upgrade kits. That would be my route. He has nice rebuild kits. Turbo Time USA doesn't get into the rebuild kits or anything like that. I always send people to Turbo Time or to KC Turbo, and I think Titan Turbo Services does too. But I know KC does, so I would go that route. If you're looking for a turbo, Titan and KC, excellent choices. But if you're looking to upgrade and you just don't want to deal with it, or if you get in there and something's wrong with your turbo, I'd be probably looking at the 64 millimeter that Turbo Time sells. And again, the 5% discount code there to check out. But if you're looking at upgrading yours, I would look at KC Turbo. He has, if you want to do the new compressor wheel and stuff, he has fully balanced kits. And Nick just verified that Titan does as well. So I would go with I'd go with a fully balanced kit. I think they're $500 to $600, so significantly cheaper than a full turbo. For instance, I think the cheapest upgrade turbo you can get is a Power Max, which is around $1,200. And I'm not as familiar with Titan. I don't know Titan pricing at all. KC Turbo, his pricing, I'm not familiar with either. I know Turbo Time, where you're looking at $1,400 to $1,700 for one of their performance turbos minus 5%. Now, so Jake, what I do want to say is the balanced assemblies are excellent. One of my friends and subscribers, Rippin60, ran one for a while, and he loved it. It was a nice kit. I think he made I want to say he made like 540 on a dyno. Don't hold me to that number, but I would definitely go with a 10 blade wheel and I would definitely go with probably if I remember what you were saying you want to do with your build, I'd probably go with his 63.5 compressor wheel, and a 360 upgraded rebuild kit. Nick, this is the olive. It's like a military green kind of thing. I was gonna do the olive on the premium one, but it kind of looked like a puke green, so I didn't want to go that route because I don't want puke green associated with my stuff. So this is the olive, and I think I have the premium one coming in asphalt. Girl it. If I had to put a number to it, and please don't hold me to this, I want to say you're probably losing about 20 horsepower. And again, I don't know that for a fact. So J Hill, the Power Max Turbo is a great turbo. It's a lot of value. And since we're talking about this, I want to look up what the value. I'm going to quick pull up Turbo Time USA's website here, and I'm going to quick just get an actual price. I'll actually pull up KC Turbo then too. I want to be able to give you guys accurate numbers here, since we're kind of turbo focused at the moment. Where the heck's their Power Max? So Turbo Time USA sells the Power Max for $12.49. I don't know if my discount works on that. I don't think it does. I think KC Turbos sells the Power Max for $100 cheaper. I could be wrong. Now, a viable budget option to look at would be the Stage 1 Power Max 61 millimeter that Turbo Time sells is $12.99. I don't know if my code's working for that or not to get a better price. But and let's just pull up the 64 millimeter because that I am a big fan of. And that is looking, the 64 millimeter without the velocity port is $14.49. So there are some prices on that. Let me quick get KC Turbo up here. Sorry guys, I know I'm falling behind in the questions here, but I just want to be able to give good numbers here and such for you, so I'm actually being accurately representing what we're talking about at the moment. So, all right, KC Turbo, his Stage 1, 1390. That's his 61 millimeter. His Stage 1.5, which is a cool turbo, that's a 63.5 with a 13 blade turbine wheel, and that is 1590. And his Stage 2, which is the 64.7 with a 10 blade turbine wheel, is 1690. So stuff to consider. Turbo Time USA, their 64 millimeter is kind of in between his Stage 1.5 and Stage 2. It's got the 10 blade turbine wheel with a 64 millimeter compressor wheel, so a little bit smaller than the Stage 2, a little bit bigger than the Stage 1.5. And then they obviously have, it's funny, Turbo Time USA's turbos kind of fit in between the KC lineup. If you want to draw like direct comparisons, it's kind of hard to do that. Because their turbo sizes don't match up. So then Turbo Time does a 66 millimeter compressor wheel, which is what I run, and KC Turbo jumps up to the GT40 turbine wheel with a 68 millimeter compressor wheel. So a lot of different stuff to navigate there. Let me start getting a little caught up. So Jake, yeah, if you're mechanically inclined and the center bearing housing is still good in yours, you could definitely do one of the KC rebuild kits, which, let me see if I can quick. Where's his, that's just Complete Turbos Shop. 6.0s DIY turbo kits. Let's get you a price on them, man. What the heck am I looking at? Oh, there we go. $4.99 for the kits from KC Turbo. How do I send you something? I just 3D printed some stuff that would make your life so much easier when working on injectors and some other stuff. Mike, so the best way to probably send me like pictures and stuff like that's probably Instagram. Let me drop my Instagram tag down here. Because there is a 6.0 bros, like I have it on the channel. The H is in there for the H is in there for my Instagram one because that was available and the other one wasn't. So we had started the YouTube channel 6.0 bros, how it's done on YouTube, and then we started Instagram. I think a couple months later, several months later, maybe even, and that's how we found out that there's somebody else with my name. It's quick too. So I go back and forth on this. I tried the rebuild turbo thing. It didn't work out super great for me. Now that being said, I didn't go to a quality company either. So there's that. I think it was a KC rebuild kit, which I didn't have issues with that. It was the Turbo Labs America compressor wheel that was a knockoff of the KC thing. And Turbo Labs America has no sense of quality control or customer service. I don't recommend those guys. But the other, like the quality companies out there, you won't run into those issues. It's just a matter of making sure your center bearing housing is still good to go. But there is something to be said about just getting a new turbo and ripping the old one out, dropping a new one in and going. There is something to that. I'm with you there. But again, I don't want to say that doing the fully balanced assembly from KC Turbo or Titan Turbo Services is a bad idea either. It's cost effective. You can get a nice upgrade, and if your center bearing still has life left in it, you'll probably be okay. Make sure you're listening to KC Turbo or Titan Turbo Services on how to properly assemble them. The Rippin' 6.0 shout out. Rippin' 6.0's a cool dude. He's become a good friend of mine. I really like him, and he has a channel too. I haven't seen any uploads from him in a while, but definitely has a cool channel there. Trying to get fuel economy, good power, mostly important. Stay on the road. So most of my upgrades are. Yeah, Jay, I'm with you, man. Those are all obviously super important things. And honestly, I think I got really good fuel economy with WPE tuning, but he doesn't tune anymore. I have not been able to find his stuff in forever. I'm super upset because he was hands down my favorite tuner for daily driving and for tow tunes. So now I got to mess around with other tuners. He was my favorite. I do like the tuner reviews nonetheless, but I was really bummed to find out I couldn't get a fresh set of updates from him. Sorry, guys, this is my sister's profile. You know, I was wondering what's with the girlet. Your sister's probably like, why is he on my account? Why do I keep getting notifications? Whew. Man, I missed some stuff. I don't know why I missed some stuff here. Hold on, that's funny. Changing wheels tires does not change the horsepower from the engine. Running smaller tires will just free up some power from the rolling and wind resistance when going down the road. Spot on. Casey has to upgrade kit balance. The upgrade has an option for it, but the balance set doesn't specify. Jake, that's something you'd have to ask them again. I hear great things about Casey's customer service. The things I've bought from them, I've always had good luck with. I haven't bought one of their full turbos, but I've bought parts and random odds and ends from them, and their customer service has always been top notch. So I would defer to them. I don't want to give you inaccurate information. Yeah.
Are any of my fans on?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Really?
Yeah, positive.
Not one?
Do you want to get on camera?
Well, no, if none of my fans are on.
I can't even with these working conditions are harsh.
Hmm? What's his spell?
She's on the couch.
Is he good night? Good night, baby.
So,
When I say good night.
I will.
Because I'm pretty sure somebody's on there that cares about me.
Grant, excellent explanation here about the smaller diameter tires and the larger ones. I like that. Well done. What injectors would you suggest for an 04 6-ohm deleted but not studded? So Ford Power, here's something to consider. When you start going bigger in injectors, regardless, even if you're running conservative fueling stuff, when you're adding power, you always run the risk of increasing your chance of blowing head gaskets. So I want you to be aware of that. A nice mild upgrade, I'm a big fan of 175 stock nozzles. But if down the road you think you might want to do like a 600 horsepower build, I would honestly go right to the injector and just be ready to do head studs. Which 205/30s is my next recommendation. I think 175s with the stock nozzle is the first level of upgrade, and 205/30s should be the second one if you're looking at that. A 175 stock can get you about 520-ish horsepower if everything's running right on a full out race tune with the all supporting mods. But again, we're talking like you are increasing your chance of blowing head gaskets. So just bear all that in mind if you go that route. I would definitely run very conservative tuning on any injector or turbo upgrade with factory head bolts. Would a PowerMax be better or KC stage 1 or 2 if there's anything wrong with mine? So PowerMax is a great turbo. It's a lot of value for it. That being said, when I saw Turbo Time USA, $1,300 for their stage 1. That's a lot of value, and probably generally will perform overall better than a PowerMax. A PowerMax probably has more on the top end as far as a horsepower number, but I think that 61 millimeter, which is not like my favorite turbo in the world, but when comparing value of turbo, most of your daily driving, the 61 millimeter one probably worked pretty well. The PowerMax probably makes a little more top end power. But if you were to compare, like KC has a turbo that's very similar in size to the PowerMax. Like you can get their stage 1.5, I believe, with the 10 blade if you request it. I'm pretty certain he'll accommodate that. That turbo is going to just grossly outperform a PowerMax. Same with Turbo Time USA. If you went with one of their 64 millimeter turbos, it's going to grossly outperform a PowerMax. PowerMax, a lot of value for the price, but not necessarily the best that is out there. Now again, you start paying for it when you start getting into those custom turbos. There's a price thing there, but you know they will outperform that. So if money's a thing, I'd probably look at the 61 millimeter turbo over a PowerMax because you're only talking $50 more, and you're generally probably going to enjoy the driving characteristics and performance better. If money is not really a factor and you have a slightly higher budget, then I'd start looking at the custom turbos or performance turbos from those brands mentioned, because they will outperform the PowerMax by a significant margin. And I'm saying that as someone that's actually driven with a PowerMax at a long time and my current turbo. I will tell you there is a big difference. JRW, so recently I discussed this in my last video of what to do. If you're not having issues, I don't recommend studying your truck. Especially if you're staying factory and you're keeping on oil temps and exhaust temps and you've already addressed the EGR, shall we say. Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. Now, when it happens, I would stud it because it's not really costing anymore to stud it when you blow head gaskets because all the work needs done anyway. To which at that point, I always recommend Kill Devil Diesel heads, which I've said I don't have an affiliation with them. They have given me discounts in the past, but I don't have like a direct affiliation with them. So I'm not paid to say that. They just have really quality products, and I love the heads that they produce. And you probably will never blow head gaskets again with them, provided the mechanic does the work correctly. So yeah, if you're not having issues, just save that money up and wait. Not too inclined with turbos. That's probably what I'll do, but I'll need a tune for it, and I don't have a monitor or a tuner yet. So Jake, I do want to say this. So when I had my Power Max turbo, you can actually run it on factory tuning. You won't boost past 20 psi if you have a turbo in that size range, you know, it might be a little more sluggish because it's got a bigger turbo to spool. Like your top end will still feel the same, but like around town, you'll probably feel a little more sluggish. So you don't need to get a tuner right away, you know, if you're having turbo issues. But, you know, tune will always help. I do a video about best 6.0 tuner, which I have, SCT is who I recommend. And there's links to SCT products in there. And we talk about tuning a little bit. So at some point, I will talk more about tuning and actual specifics. I reference it a little in that video, but I don't go into great detail. I mainly focus on why SCT is the best tuner for the 6.0 Powerstroke. But yeah, you can run, you know, I wouldn't go bigger than a 64 millimeter running. Like I wouldn't do, I'm not saying you can't, but the stage 2 KC is 64.7. It's pretty big turbo. It's not huge, but it's pretty big jump up considering the factory ones are, for 04 is 59 millimeters, and for the late years is like 56 point something. Hey, pup. I have the coolest dog. Hi. Anyway, so yeah, you can run it in factory tuning, and that's really the only drawback. It won't cause any issues. So check that out. Again, coupon code down in the description for Turbo Time USA from me, 5% off their stuff. KC Turbo, Google KC Turbo. Either one is going to be quality. Like I said, I obviously have a bias and an affiliation with Turbo Time, but either company is going to give you a great product. Hi, puppy. My dog's been very playful lately. She likes to wrestle about this time. All right. So, and she doesn't do when she's not getting attention well. Do you guys know if I should just go to a local shop that will change my gearing because of serious items? Where would I find them online? So man, I would just look for a gear shop by you. Find a place that's got good reviews. Look up their reviews online. If you don't find a bunch of positive ones, that's not necessarily a bad thing because people tend to not mention the positives, but they always mention the negatives. People get angry, myself included at times, and you want to vent and let people know. So bear that in mind when searching. And I would just look for a reputable company to go to. Man, you guys really picked it up here. I'm falling behind. I'm gonna get caught up here. Yeah, Grant, I agree. I want to say probably $800 to $1,100 per axle to re-gear. Ford Power Warren Premium 175 stock nozzles is a great injector. If you really want to push it, you can run a 30% nozzle on it. I just don't think it's necessarily a great idea for that size. I would at least step into a 190/30. But again, remember the risk of potentially having head gasket issues with that as well. So would it be cheaper to sell my 8-inch lift? Would it be cheaper? So Gurlit, which I'll continue to call you that unless you drop your real name, man. Feel free to put your real name out, and I'll call you by that. It really depends on what you go with at that point, and if you still like the look of it. I mean, taking that lift off and doing a full lift install, you're probably. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say to go lower in tire. Like me, it depends how much you get for all the stuff you sell. But just purchasing those things and installing having a different lift installed, and different wheel and tire setup, it probably won't be cheaper. Doing the re-gear would probably be cheaper. Although Grant seems to know more than me about re-gearing. I've never had it done, but I mean, $3,000 in parts and labor, you might be getting close to it balancing out. Jake, I do want to say about Warren, I've had a good experience with Warren. There are some negative comments about them, but I mean, they're also selling probably the most injectors of anybody, so bear that in mind. I just feel like I need to disclose that. I've had excellent success with them. So just something to consider, but Warren's who I use and will continue to use. Oh, where did I lost it? I lost it. What makes you think you need gears? Grant, so he was kind of, oh, well, there, he said it. Never mind. I bought a set of Warrens off a dude. Dude, Jay, like, who'd you rob for those injectors? Holy crap, I'm almost caught up in the comment section. I agree with Nick on pulling fuel. If you think you want a 175, I think you should. I mean, I like to skip 190s. I like to pretend that 190s don't exist. I go to the 205/30. But yeah, no, I wish I had done that with mine because here I am. I wish I had bigger injectors. And it's easier to pull fuel. It's quick too, man. Have a good night, man. 6.0 leak oil. Have a good one, brother. I appreciate the support. Jake, TSD is great and the SCT is fantastic. The GTX, I think you're in a truck, but just to make sure, I believe the GTX won't work with the Excursion. I had another one of my subscribers, Doom something or other, that I think he has an Excursion. He was looking at it and it wouldn't work with those. So bear that in mind. Grant, yes, that is, she's my purebred Akita, right, Izzy? She just huffed. Like, get down here and wrestle me. Yes, but she is a purebred Akita. I think I should sell my wheels, tires, and lift gas more. Girl, I mean, it's really up to your preference. I don't know if he's still in here. I'm going to answer anyway. It's really just a personal preference. If you love the look of 37s and that's the look you want to keep, then re-gear it. That being said, probably be an overall more enjoyable experience to come down to like a 35 and a 6-inch lift or a 4-inch lift. Day in and day out. Easier to get in, which I know makes me sound old. I'm not that old, but I personally think 4-inch is nice. That being said, I might do a 6-inch on the white truck when I get it back. I think it'd be kind of cool to see a white truck on 6-inch on 35s. Cruise down the track, maybe even go to 37s. If I did a 8-inch lift or something, then I think it'd be really cool to see that fly down the track. If you're trying to race, yeah, if you're trying to crawl them all, you'll be fine. Thanks for all the quick links to certain products. Jay, no problem, man. I do try to keep the links for you guys down there the best I can. Call me Frank. So first I'm going to do Jake's question, then Ford, I will get to yours. So I believe he will. At one point, I believe that was an option to upgrade that. I think there was a charge with it. I still have the window open. Let's find out. Stage 1.5. Where are my options here? So currently it doesn't say on here about switching it. So maybe, I don't know if he still does that. I think he does, but I think you need to request it. So something to consider. Now pool fuel. So what that means is your tuner. So KC Turbo actually has an excellent video on YouTube about injectors and stuff. I always recommend people to watch it. So you can have fuel pulled, meaning they decrease the timing. Your nozzle really dictates how the injector works with it. They basically can increase timing and stuff, but so they can pull fuel to make a 205/30 run just like a 155/30. So that's what we mean is they pull some of the timing out, and I'm sure there's more to it than just that. I'm oversimplifying it, but they can do that to make a better end result for you, or to give it the characteristics that you are looking for. The dude was hard up for money. Also got a brand new in the box aluminum radiator for a guy bought money from parts. Yeah, I'd still wish he has 6. Odd how I see, said the blind man. Odd how many people have a 6.4 and wish they had a 6.0 still. Although, did everybody see Kill Devil Diesel as steel pistons for the 6.4, which I think is like a huge game changer. Steel pistons in a 6.4, like that's awesome. I really think that if you were to do a full build, I think that was kind of like the last missing piece, in my opinion, to make a reliable 6.4. So you get rid of the cracking piston issue with the steel pistons. You get a cam, so you get rid of the breaking the rocker arms, the aggressive nature that the 6.0 and 6.4 stock cams were. So don't get me wrong, we're talking an expensive build, but I really feel at this point you can make a 6.4 reliable, and they're powerhouses. I mean, they're monsters. So I do think you can officially now say there's a way to make a reliable 6.4. It's expensive, but I do think it's worth it, or I do think it's possible now. Running full fuel tuning, your injectors will last longer. Oh, Nick, I agree with you 100%, man. I do think if you're running a more conservative time, because a lot of people don't realize this, so the fuel acts as like a shock absorber. So when the fuel, so here's like the plunger that's pushing down, and here's the fuel. If it's right here, it doesn't have that shock because it's already sitting in the fuel. It just pushes it down. Versus if you're not able to fill that up completely, and you have a piston now getting speed hitting this, that causes damage. I know, again, a very rudimentary way of explaining it. See, I do really love this dog. She's the best, aren't you? I wish like she would do better around people, and next year when I get to go to events again, I'd love to bring her. But she just doesn't do with the big crowds, and she would not be happy. She wouldn't have fun. Plus all the noise at races and stuff. She would just be super unhappy with me, right? Right, puppy? Sorry. Yeah, I would have jumped on those parts too. There are guys that had great luck with 6.4s. I've never owned one. I know a lot of guys that have had great luck with them. A lot of guys that haven't. But the steel pistons, man. So the steel pistons, I believe, are lighter, but I think it's kind of a wash when you realize, I think you need a longer connecting rod for them. So I think it's kind of a wash between the actual weight. They might be ever so slightly heavier, but not much. Pooled fuel, lift pump, and a regulated return. So for 175 stock, no, you would not need a lift pump and a regulated return. You're going to need to monitor your fuel pressure. If everything's healthy, you're fine. Especially if you have the Blue Spring mod. If everything's healthy, you should be perfectly good to go. My fuel pump was dying, was why I upgraded to a fast system. Not having enough fuel pressure was killing my injectors one at a time. That was not fun. So no, you should be good if your fuel pump's healthy, and the Blue Spring mod upgrade has been done. But again, make sure you're monitoring fuel pressure, because again, the last thing you want to do is not have enough in there and mess up your brand new injectors. Squared away. A 97 Dodge 2500. Which engine's in it? There's didn't they have V10s in those years? My buddy has a V10. I just can't remember the year Dodge he has. Yeah, Jake, I actually don't have a regulated return, so I run a sump on my fuel tank to my fast system, and then my fast system is plumbed all the way up to the hard lines in the engine bay. And I have no regulated return. And I do keep an eye on fuel pressure. So in the winter, I do see about 75 PSI, which is the max you want to see. No one pulls stumps anymore. You don't want to see over 75 PSI, because that can start to damage the internal O-rings, and then you can get fuel and oil mixing, and that's no bueno. We had a massive tree. I think in some of the videos you actually can see it with the 6.7. I mean, this thing, it was probably 4 foot, I want to say definitely 4 foot across. It was a pin oak tree, and it was 78 years old. And we had to have that grinded out. Our side yard still looks terrible as we're trying to get it fixed up and looking half decent. We're getting there. We got about half of it looking decent. Maybe next year. In the fall, definitely. Has everyone in here currently seen the t-shirts? Because I love these things. I want to see you guys love them as well. I got to get an updated fuel system. Any recommendations? So I really like Fast, and we touched on this earlier. So Fast and AirDog are the two most common aftermarket systems. Both of them, I will say, you do hear them. They are louder than the factory ones, but you also get better filtration. You can do a fuel bowl delete under the hood, and you can get rid of that factory fuel bowl that under the lower one that every time you go to change your filter, you take a diesel bath, and that sucks. So I do recommend Fast or AirDog. I personally think they're currently turning out the same level of quality product. I loved my Fast since I've had it, but again, tons of guys run AirDogs all day long, and they're fine. So either or, I think you're good to go with that. I got the 5.9 all mechanical. That'll burn anything. Man, only 125,000 miles on a 97. Yeah, you got a lot of life left in that. Let's see here. Any other questions, guys? So far, this has been a lot of fun. Let's see, my phone's going off over here. So, guys, I think if there's no more questions, we're probably going to start to asking for a fuel grade upgrade under 1K. Well, it really depends what you want to do with that. So, I mean, under 1K, I think the fast pumps are like 750-ish. I think air dogs are like 650. I think they're a little cheaper. And they're pretty easy to install. So I think either of them would be good. That being said, you could always, I mean, unless you're running big injectors, there's nothing wrong with the factory fuel system. All in all, they are great setups. Again, I hate that lower pump or that lower filter, changing that. Someone does make a vertical filter where the filter faces straight down. So you could do that. Maybe that could have been a van pump too. I'm not sure, but don't be a quitter. So it really just depends what you're looking for in it. If you want to stay factory or upgrade, but if you're even installed, either of the fast or the air dog setup should be less than $1,000. They might be pushing it, but they all in all they should be less than $1,000. Grant, are you talking about Sinister there with the one issue you had with the intake? I don't know. I go back and forth with Sinister. I don't know how the completely wrong O-ring and bolts. I'd be livid. Grant, I've had issues with getting sent the wrong parts from Sinister. So I tend to buy a lot from Extreme Diesel. I use the 10% code. And a lot of times when I'm linking product stuff, guys, I do, especially like the tie rod video I did. I have links to everything I used. And I always try to find you guys the best deals. But you should always check out Extreme Diesel. I do look there because I don't want to sorry, my contact here. When I'm posting those things, like, so the Amazon links help me. I make a little bit of money from them, which everything I make I put back into the channel. That's where this channel's at. So everything that I make from this goes right back into the channel. But if I know something's grossly cheaper, I always link it. Like, I try to find the cheaper stuff that's still quality so you guys can benefit. But Extreme Diesel is always a safe bet to go check. Plus out Diesel 10 in a coupon code there gives you 10% off. Jay and you, your water pump, man. I'm sorry, brother. Yeah, I've heard, some people hate Sinister Diesel. Some people really like them. I've heard, it goes back and forth with them. But I don't know. I like Extreme Diesel a little more than I do Sinister. Just Sinister, I think, has done a few dumb things here and there. And I just can't say that I'm super impressed with those guys and the way they've handled certain situations in recent years. That stinks, man. Jake, I'm sorry to hear that. Jay, if you send it to me over on my Instagram, I will post it on my Instagram. If you want it up, hit me up on there, and I'll post it up. And it goes for anything. If you guys want, I'll post pictures of your guys' rigs if you want me to. Yeah, just send them to me on Instagram, and I'll put them up there. Yeah, Nick, I hate the whole we own the color blue, and I get it was to try to combat some of the Chinese knockoffs. That being said, their intercooler pipe kit, China. Now I do think they make stuff in the US. I don't think everything comes from China, but I think they get more from China than they like to lead on. Just beyond, I mean, my whole thing is I just like don't say that we don't do something when you do. As long as you have quality control measures down there, I don't really care. Just my personal opinion. Honestly, my truck was blue, so it looked good. Grant, it's hard to argue that, man. The blue truck, I mean, that sinister colored blue that they're known for looks good. I just don't like when they said you can't do this. And they issued had they done it and really just went after the Chinese companies that were trying to make knockoffs, nobody would have complained. But they sent cease and desist letters to other companies, other quality American companies over the sinister blue, and that is crap. And they did not have a good PR set up for that, to which I do believe they knocked their crap off then. But just their initial response to be so bold to say, we own the color blue, was asinine on a mild note. And sending the cease and desist letters and threatening to sue people. That I just thought that was a pretty crappy way. Especially when Sinister has some of the most overpriced stuff. Like, has anyone looked at their exhaust manifolds? Mind you, everybody has leaking issues with their exhaust manifolds. But their coolant filter I wouldn't have an issue with. I have the XDB coolant filter on my truck personally. It's only Sinister blue in there. JRW, I agree with their custom fabricated stuff. I think their prices are just ridiculously done. Guys, I just want to say we have 14 people in here and I only have 12 likes. Can the other two, all right, we lost one. Can the 13th guy like this video? Thank you. Thank you. Wasn't even sure if that was going to work. But anyway, yeah, no, their custom fabricated stuff. I think some of it's cool. I think some of their claims aren't super accurate with power stuff, but their custom fabricated stuff isn't super well known for reliability. So that's kind of what gets me is I think that's kind of crappy of them. When they're asking, I think they asked $1,500 for a set of exhaust manifolds. What? $1,500? You can go to the most well-known fab guys and get exhaust manifolds for that price. And I mean race proven crap to really push the limits. Not this is going to leak in 500 miles like a lot of the Sinister exhaust manifolds do. I just struggle with that. You guys seen the duplicate metal? I have not seen it, Grant. Yeah, Nick, you're yelling at me to go for 4 hours on here, and you didn't even like the video. Oh, Jake, the SoCal billet set. The SoCal billet stuff is freaking awesome. that is a really cool setup. The SoCal billet guys, that's got to be a cool shop to hang out because they do really, really nice stuff. Sinister pipes in a few hours. Jay, let me post. That is my Instagram account. JRW, I'm with you. That's just way too much. It's just way too much to deal with. Where do you get your custom engine shroud? JRW, is that directed at me or one of the other guys with the custom shroud? Because I don't think I have one. Josh took his and did put 6 Obros on the side. I thought that was kind of cool. I blame it on the rum. I definitely need to start using that more because since I've been harassing you guys to hit the like button, I got 4 more likes. So I'm gonna start doing that in live stream. Start harassing people to hit the like button. But JRW, can you did you see that on mine? It was Josh's, yeah. So what he did is he I think he rattle canned it like a gloss black, put the decals on, and then clear coated it before reinstalling it. I'm pretty certain that's what he did. Or how he got that look. So nice little way of doing things, I guess. I didn't do it on mine. I thought it looked cool. It looked really good when he first did it, but I don't think it's held up like super well in the long haul. So that part kind of stinks. But when he first did it, oh, it looked awesome. Well, that's one thing that kind of leads me into one thing is I want to do decals down the road. That is something I'm working on. Finding those shrouds can be a pain in the butt sometimes. So down the road, yeah, the mobile one. It's all. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's all good, guys. I was just giving you a hard time. I mean, the likes do help. I really appreciate all the support you guys give always. So if you can like it, definitely do. But I'm just messing with you guys, especially in these live feeds. I like that these are a little more laid back. We can just have fun. We can BS, and it's a great way to interact with you guys. And I want to add value to the channel for you guys. I want to be different from the other guys out there doing that are occupying the same space. And I think these live streams are a great way for me to give you access to talk to me and have these awesome group chats. And you guys are always end up answering questions down there. I'm not saying other guys in this space aren't doing it. I don't think anybody that I've seen does it with my level of frequency. Definitely not for 3 hours in this space, Nick. So decals. So I do want to do decals. So this is the merch plan, guys. So we obviously started with t-shirts, and over probably the next 2 months, we will expand 4 hours. I don't know, man. Over the next couple months, we're going to expand. We're going to get some long sleeves. We're going to get hoodies. I'm probably going to put a cell phone case up there. That's more for me. I don't know a bunch of guys are going to rock a cell phone case for their iPhones or Samsung devices. But so we're going to really expand on Amazon. And then Amazon doesn't do decals yet. I hope they do down the road because I think it's just an easy way for you guys to get those stuff. Plus, it's Prime. Everybody knows Amazon, so there's an expectation of quality. And if there is an issue with quality, returning stuff is easy. That's why I applied for the merch by Amazon thing, because I thought it would be best for you guys in purchasing stuff. And if there was any issues, it's all taken care of by Amazon. So down the road, what I do, because I do want to get some decals out there. I also thought it would be cool to maybe have contests where you guys submit sayings and stuff. Like, so take like this logo on the front and then put funny sayings on the back. I thought about maybe having you guys down the road do like a contest of submitting sayings, and in return, the winner, I would send a free shirt out to. I would pay for the shirt and send it to you. So I have a couple ideas for the merch thing. I will have to go to another print-on-demand service, which is what this is called for the t-shirts we have that are now available. It's a print-on-demand service. And what I'll do is I'm going to find one for decals down the road. So I can get decals like, this is a cool logo. I like the one that has, it's not an engine, it's a movement, that Josh came up with. So I am heading in that direction, and I just want to make sure that when all this stuff is available, that it's off without a hitch, that you guys can easily have access to it, and it's reliable with fast shipping. So there is a lot of legwork to make all that happen. Hopefully Amazon just starts Hopefully Amazon just starts doing decals so I can send them out, but at this time they do not. Man, did I get behind in the chat. I actually definitely make decal. They are on the way, guys. So truthfully, my end plan, to be honest, is I'm looking for decals probably in November is the plan. I just need to do some research, finding the best way to get those made, and for it to be easy and reliable with good quality to you guys and affordable. So that was a big one for me. Is I didn't want to have to sell a $25 shirt to be able to make $2 or $3 per shirt. I wanted to be able to sell pretty cheap so you guys could buy it and support and me still make a little bit of money. And Amazon has allowed me to do that. Plus, you guys get fast shipping. Literally, this came in less than 24 hours to my house. I was super surprised at that. Super happy, but it was just kind of shocked me like, less than 24 hours and it came. It was only a week. I didn't do that shipping. COVID. I'm so done with COVID. Have I mentioned that? What's on eBay? Nick, why are you shouting random stuff? Just eBay. Let's see here. So during the worst of it, PSA was awful getting parts from. I really like PSA. I think you get a lot for the value of stuff. I do think they have some things they could work on, like the weird buffer tube twang you get with their AR stuff. But yeah, no, it was it was ridiculous at one point. But they've actually been back on top of their game here. Fortunately, years ago they used to be even worse getting stuff from them. But they've been pretty good here in the last several years. My last question before I get off here is, what is the best oil and weight the oil season time frame? So Jay, I honestly think with oils, I think it's most important to make sure you're getting your changes in and that you're doing it every 5,000 miles. I personally think the oil analysis stuff is kind of a joke. I think it's neat information, but I think it's dumb to extend oil changes out past 5,000 miles with Huey injectors. That being said, I stick to 5,000 miles with my 6.7. They say you can go outwards of 10. I don't like it. I'll stick to shorter times with that. And I just run the Motorcraft typically. I am going to try Schaefer's when I get the 6.0 back, but I just run the factory Ford spec stuff, and I've never had an issue. Even in the winter, I haven't had issues. If I have stiction, arch oil is the big way to help with that. And other than that, yeah, that's it. I don't do anything fancy with that. I know some people swear by T6 or even T5, which is very similar to the Motorcraft stuff, but there's a lot of guys with a lot of miles on Motorcraft oil. And that's what I've been running in the 6.7. I've just been running Motorcraft. The eBay Town Crier. What's the eBay Town Crier? I'm in Missouri, and 540 is good year-round. 530 may be better for winter. eBay has the stickers if Amazon won't do it. Oh, does eBay have like a... Nick, in my defense, it did kind of seem like you developed typing Tourette's. If you read back through it, just random eBay. eBay. So do they have like an affiliate thing, or I'll have to look. Let me pull up that. I have like 6 different web pages set up. Because I will definitely go that route as well. Again, I definitely want to, as long as I can get fast shipping and quality stuff to you guys, And if there are issues, that it's easy for you to return things. Those are really what I'm focusing on with these print-on-demand things and getting stuff to you guys. Is I don't want you. I don't want you guys having issues with the quality of the products coming out. So that's really what I'm focusing on. Is I want to make sure that it's an easy thing for you guys to do. So I will definitely look into that more, man. Thank you. Seriously. Favorite exhaust with cat. What are you running? So Brandon, I run a MagnaFlow exhaust on my truck. I love it. I think MagnaFlow is one of the best exhaust companies in the diesel market space right now, and followed by MBRP. Budget stuff. Diamond Eye makes pretty nice stuff. Again, I think MagnaFlow and MBRP are probably the two best out there. But on a budget, MagnaFlow sounds really good. I have an exhaust video with Josh where we hack his exhaust off with a Sawzall, and we have a bunch of different straight pipe clips of him at various parts and removing that system. And then we also have the same process as we put the new setup on. So, oh, and I see Banks makes a nice exhaust, and again, it's quality stuff. I'm not a huge Banks fan, but I do think their exhaust is nice. If they're strict there, Banks is probably one of the ones to go with, because it'll really easily keep your catalytic converter in there. Too much pollution from all the pot. That's funny. JRW, where in Ohio are you? I just out of curiosity. So, man, where did I buy the 6.7 from? I'm trying to remember. I've never released the name of the company I bought it from, since clearly they're a terrible company, and I definitely don't recommend them. But I've never released the company's name, but I can't remember where they were from. So where are you at? I wasn't far from Cleveland. I want to say the name started with a B. I really can't remember what it was called, like the town I was in. Let's see. Bedford. That's where I was at. So are you close to that area? My uncle has to lead 4th gen, gets around the NC emissions checks, but I have no clue how. Jake, he's paying someone off. Straight bite MBRP. Truck came with Silverline. I've heard good things about Silverline. I forget about them a lot, but I've actually heard a lot from them. Brandon, also, I would definitely look at MagnaFlow. I've been super happy with I've had my MagnaFlow on there for like 10 years. I haven't had the truck 10 years. So I guess 8 years I've had the MagnaFlow on there. He lets them have a chat with Benjamin Franklin. Let's see here. Yeah, so JRW, there's like a row of a ton of dealerships in Bedford, and that's the area I was in. I gotta tell you, kind of a crappy area. I'm 6'1" and 240. I'm not typically afraid often, but I was in that area. I was like, this this is a shady part of town. The dealership I went in there, I don't know if I've ever talked about this at a point where I could joke about it, because at first I was so angry with how much they lied. So I go into the dealership and Jay-Z Run This Town is playing, and that probably should have been one of my first clues that this was not a great establishment to purchase. Followed by Eminem, the song "Kill You" was the next song that played. While I like both of those songs, probably not where you should be buying a vehicle from. Jake, I love South Carolina. I go down to South Carolina almost every year. Now this year we didn't go to Myrtle. We didn't do the Myrtle Beach trip. We've had some stuff in the family that we've chosen to cancel it. Yeah, we're not. But next year we do our Myrtle Beach trip again. But I love the Carolinas, man. Biden doesn't stand a snowball's chance at getting into office. There is no way he gets in. No way. The Democrats destroyed him before he could even contend with Trump. Yeah, Biden's not getting in. You don't even need, just go out and vote. As long as we go out and vote, Biden doesn't get in. We'll be fine. Oh, nice. I have a cousin in Charleston, actually. She loves it down there, too. He won't know where he's at anyway. Yeah, Biden in office, there's a scary thought. Fortunately, we won't have to worry about it because it's creepy Uncle Joe, and there's no way he's getting in there, but that would be awful. Jake. I hope regardless that doesn't happen. I definitely am not for anything like that, but I just don't see it happening. I just don't see him getting there. He's a terrible debater. I don't know how long some of you guys have been into politics, and I can't believe we're discussing politics. But does anyone remember Joe Biden debating Paul Ryan when Ryan ran with McCain, which was a terrible setup, but Biden looked like just a jerk on the stage. It was a terrible debate. Is if you mail in your vote. Yeah, no, I saw that. Encourage mailing in vote. No, I'll be at the poll. Thank you. I'm Joe Biden. Give me a look if you don't see for the other Biden. I have a sister and she's the love of my life. Oh, man. Oh yeah, JRW. He's a terrible speaker, which is odd saying that because so's Trump. But Trump's just gonna. Trump does these little nicknames and makes people look bad, and it works. I disagree with it, except with creepy Uncle Joe, because I dislike him a lot more. But yeah, he's gonna look terrible when cats and dogs are registered to vote. Oh, Jake, definitely. He definitely says anything that just to get him. He wants to be president. He's just, I don't know. He'll do anything to get there. And the sad thing is the Democratic Party is destroying themselves. And when I say sad thing, I mean, I think the Democratic Party at a point in time was decent. Oh, he's definitely way better. Yeah, John, I saw that today before this. Dr. Fauci's a crook. So in his position, like, he stands to make a ton of money off this vaccine. He has no interest in the truth. Like I think he should be removed from his position because of what he stands to make financially with COVID. And I really don't want to get too much into this, but one thing to look at: Colorado is the first state to actually go and look at COVID deaths versus dying with COVID. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this on here and it be monetized. But Colorado found a 25, well, it's like 24 point something, but 25% decrease in COVID deaths when they went and reevaluated things. Biden made out with his grand. I'm sorry, what? I didn't see that. I'm not Trump. JRW, I'm 99% sure he's not allowed to do reading that out loud. Jake, he did say that. Biden did say, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Yeah, we are gonna get away from COVID talk. Just to appease YouTube, guy. And truth be told, COVID is a real thing. Don't think it's not. I just think it's grossly overplayed as to its actual impact on society. I think we've, on a political standpoint, have caused the rest of the damage from COVID, but we'll get away from that. But yeah, Joe Biden did actually say that. I'm off here, do some prep work on my old girl. Water pump coming in. Well, Jay, have fun, brother. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you for the support. Always great having you in here. Man, and that's the thing. Does Joe Biden actually have dementia? Did anyone hear Trump say? I think it was MSNBC or somebody was interviewing him, and he said, "Yes, they are, Jay." I can't let that show though. That flagged. Trump said, someone asked Trump if he ever regretted some of his tweets, and he apparently said, all too often. It was kind of nice to hear him say he regrets some of the dumb stuff he said. And he referenced it to previously you'd write a letter and you had time to calm down before sending it out, and you'd say to yourself, I'm so glad I didn't send that. And he's like, I don't have that with Twitter. I send stuff, and I didn't get to watch the full interview to see if anything's taken out of context, so I need to do that. But man, crazy stuff. All right, back to truck stuff. So yeah, merch. Decals, the plan is to find out how to get them and get quality stuff by November. That is my timeline for that. I can't guarantee it'll happen, but I think people definitely want some. The Carolina squat's dumb. Buy the other half of your lift. I did see a funny one. Someone had an insane amount of rake on their 250, and someone posted another 250 with the Carolina squat, saying these two swapped, went halvesies on a lift. I thought that was pretty funny. Oh, thanks, Jay. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, dude, Grant. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Seriously, I do try to talk about this, and all of your guys' support. Seriously, it means the world to me. You guys have been patient as I go through dealing with my 6.0 being down, which is why a lot of you guys came here in the first place. Some of you guys are moving out of 6.0 platforms and going to Dodge Cummins. It's a Mia, as I recall. And you guys still come here and hang out. And it seriously, it means the world. Grant, like, thank you. Man, $20 is huge, especially during this time. And I just want to say, truly, to guys that are interested in the merch, it means the world to me. And my goal is to grow that, so it's not just advertisements for 6.0 bros, but it's stuff that you really, really want to wear. Funny sayings, and I do want to grow that. I have a big learning curve to learn it. I don't know a lot about that stuff, and I'm working on it. But I'm here for the Cummins talk. But seriously, Grant, I truly mean it. Thank you so much, and it does. Every little bit helps, but at the same time, truly, there's a lot going on. Everyone has their own stresses, so I understand if people aren't in the position to buy stuff or donate. Like, that's awesome for the super chat, man. Like I said, I think this. I try to do with this platform something very different than a lot of people do. I don't think a lot of people do these live streams and definitely not for 3 hours, which seems to kind of be my new going rate, is the 3-hour mark. But you guys are awesome. You guys let me do something that, sure, I don't necessarily get to do as much content as I'd like or anything, or I'm definitely missing 6.0 content for you guys. And I do my best. But you guys give me the ability to do this stuff. I do make a little bit of money off YouTube, not a ton, but I do make money, and it all goes back into the channel. And I spend a lot of free time trying to work on stuff for you guys. So I'm glad you guys find value in what I do here. And truly, I mean that. Hey, Jake, thanks, man. And ask the questions away. You don't have to wait for a live stream. I try to stay really on top of my comments and the comment section, or Instagram's a great way to reach out to me. I really do try to stay up to date on all this. I do need to get back into doing live streams at least monthly. Would be nice. That is a plan, is to at least get back into monthly, and maybe even go back to every other week. I know sometimes I've done that. But yeah, I just want to do something unique and different for you guys. And everybody seems to, it might, at times tonight we were only like 7 people in here, but I feel like we were all having a good time and fun doing it. So really, these live streams are as much fun for me as I hope they are for you guys. Because honestly, I don't know that I'd be on here for 3 hours if I wasn't at least having a good time. Where's my phone? I need to take a picture of this here. I just want to, Grant, I just want to be able to recognize you at a later point for what you did there. Thank you. Controlled Insanity, welcome back, man. Yeah, definitely. I do want to get back into doing them. Like I said, they may not always be huge, but People's Republic of California. It's funny because it sounds like it's another country. And when you get there, it probably does feel that way, but they are still a part of the U.S. In Safety Green. What's Safety Green? Arizona totally free. Let me find Safety Green here. Oh, like you mean like construction, like that construction worker neon green, right? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, that felt really good. I don't know why it took me so long to think about that, the green. But Grant, is that what you're talking about? Like what road crews and stuff wear sometimes? Paul, greetings from Pennsylvania. And actually, it was funny. Someone in one of my you in one of the towing video where I said I was going up to New York. There's a guy that watches the channel that's like 15 minutes. Best upgrade for under 20 bucks LED. So I actually really want to do LED interior lights, especially in the 6.7, because the 6.7 is super dim inside with the lights. Like it does enough, but generally it's like super dim. So I want to definitely upgrade them to brighter lights inside. And I do want to do the 6-liter too. The 6-liter, when we get back, one of the first things I'm doing is I'm literally going to rip out the entire interior and we're going to soundproof it. Looking at doing bigger subs in there at some point, but we're going to completely soundproof it, get fresh carpet in there with more sound deadening stuff. We're going to do sound deadening stuff on the doors and just kind of really, because I love the sound system in there, and I actually have door speakers and amps to go into that yet. I completely lost my train of thought prior to that. That was a big squirrel moment. Let's see. I have no 04. My local diesel shop says they like the Blue Dog GT best for tuning and monitoring. Is it worth going that route for on-the-fly tune switching? Jay, no. So I believe, I'm not sure which Bully Dog setup allows for custom tunes, but one of them does allow for custom tuning. So the big thing, I did a video on this, best tuner for the 6.0 Powerstroke is SCT. Now, Bully Dog is owned by SCT, so that's why some other stuff you can get custom tunes for, but I think you're best just to get the tuner. And I will say, no tuner and monitor combo for the 6-liter really works well. If you want a monitor, I recommend the Edge system. There's a bunch of CTS2s that are for sale right now because guys are upgrading to the CTS3, which at some point I do plan to buy. I just don't feel there's a point in purchasing one now. So I would recommend SCT. Go to that video I have. I have links to all the different SCT products. As long as you're not in an excursion, all of them work. If you have an excursion, the GTX doesn't work for that, but all the other SCT stuff does. SCT does have a monitor, but it reads back pressure incorrectly and something else, which is dumb. Like SCT, fix it. Come on. So I really do like, I mean, the Edge setup for monitoring is just so much better. You might be able to find a relatively cheap one, CTS2, which is what I run, as people are trying to get into the CTS3, which actually they lowered the price on the CTS3 from the CTS2. So I think that was pretty cool. Down the road, like I said, I want to get one. I just need to wait till I have a second truck back before I start messing with that kind of stuff, because I think it'd be dumb for me to have two. Josh doesn't really drive his truck ever, so I'm not going to put a monitor in that truck for it to just sit there and do nothing. So Grant, the difference between the two is I don't know yet. So the standard tee is what I'm wearing here, and let me model this for you guys. So it's good. It's got good length. Like I don't feel this is a 2X. I'm sure it'll shrink a little bit. But and it seems to be a pretty nice material. I like it. The premium one, let me see if it says when it's coming. I did order a premium one for myself to try out. What I was saying earlier was that if the premium one's not actually nicer than this one, I'm going to take it off, because I don't want you guys thinking you're getting something more with the premium one when it's actually no better. Let's see here. The premium one will both of these are going to come in like 24 hours of each of being ordered. This is actually already in the local place in East Pete, which is only like 20 minutes from me. So both of these were ordered and should arrive in less than 24 hours. So that should be that's pretty cool. So I should know. I'm planning to put a video. I'm going to go up to Josh's tomorrow, and he has a Turbo Time USA Turbo that I'm going to use as kind of like a I can't think of the word I'm looking for. While I talk about turbos, I want to go over turbo sizing and setups and when you should look at what size turbo for what setup video tomorrow. So I should, or Sunday, I'm going to shoot that. I'm hoping to have it out Monday. And I'll have the premium t-shirt on for that as long as it does come tomorrow, which I don't see why it won't. It's 20 minutes from my house already. But yeah, so I should be able to tell you that stuff if it's actually worth spending the extra $4 if you actually get anything for that. I want to do 6.4, maybe 6.7 seats if I come across them. I will say so both of my 250s are Lariats, my 2004 Lariat and a 2015. And I will say 6.7 seat, the Lariat seats are much, much nicer than my 04 seats. Now, that being said, I think what I'll do with my 04 is I think I'm going to look at cat skin seats for it and get like heated and cooled seats for that. That's probably my goal for that. Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad you found that video. I hope it helped at least a little bit. And I hope I was able to finish helping you, Jay, with my explanation here. That's my goal. So it's a Mia. So I believe Banks, at least Banks used to have a shift on the fly. I'm not familiar with Bully Dog if they have shift on the fly. Here's why shift on the fly is bad for 6 liters. Is ECM tuning and transmission tuning are not, you can't separate them. So every time you change ECM tuning, your transmission needs to go through a relearn process. Whereas in the 6.4 and 6.7, they separate it. The 7.3, it's just ECM tuning. If you want your transmission to do something different, you need to do like valve body modifications to make that happen. So that's why shift on the fly for 6 liters is bad, and not really anybody did it after, like, I think Banks was really the only one to do it. I think the other ones, there's a waiting period with it. I think like all the ones that allow you to shift in the monitor without plugging it in and going through a big process, I'm pretty certain all of those pretty much have stopped happening now. Controlled insanity, I'll look for it, but I do want to definitely say I'm against shift on the fly tuning with 6 liters, because you're putting you go from a tow tune and crank it up to a race tune. Your transmission needs to learn that to not cause damage. So it's not like a super great idea. The scan gauges are nice. I'm not a super big fan of them. I think they're about 120 to 150 bucks. They're not bad. I like Torque Pro. If you're looking for a budget, I think Torque Pro or Forscan, probably your best setup. And I'd rather just buy a cheap device to leave in the truck to do my monitoring. That being said, I understand how nice it is just to have something plugged in and not mess with it. So I do think scan gauge is nice for that. But I think Torque Pro and Forscan are better overall setups. But again, then you might have to have a separate phone sitting in your truck for it if you don't want to turn yours on all the time. I used to use on my 6 liter, I have an Android head unit, so I just used my Android head unit for it all the time. Just quick turn on, open the application, and we're good to go. So that always worked well for me. Let's see here. So Fickum. For Fickum building, I think someone already said it. I thought I heard Ed at Fickum Repair is definitely the place to go for that. And it's always nice to have a spare. He's expensive, but he has the greatest reputation for it. And if my Fickum went out tomorrow, that's who I would have fix it. Door panels were a pain to get back. I believe it. Yeah, so with the 6 liter, when it does come back, it's going to be a big project when I do it. I am going to do it, but I'm definitely yeah, everything needs to get. I definitely want better sound in there than I currently have. Take time to do the floor if you have big tires to cancel road noise. Yeah, well, I definitely want to. I mean, I've looked at carpets and stuff for it. I just want to make sure it's done super nice, and definitely want to get rid of. If it's one thing I've learned, I like being able to put a window down and hearing turbo noises that are delightful. Granted, my 6.7 doesn't make any nice turbo noises. I'm going to fix that at some point, but my 6 liter did. What I hate is not being able to have a conversation in my truck with people while driving. And my 6 liter's gotten kind of on the loud side. I do like the way the 6 liter sounds. I miss it, but there is something to having a super quiet interior. So I'd rather be able to put a window down and hear cool noises and put it up when I need things to be quiet. So that is something I'm looking at when I do that. Talking about monitors, if I was to do it over again, I would buy an SCTX4 for loaded tunes and Edge for the monitor system. I'm okay with Livewire, but well, Controlled Insanity, I agree with you 100%. I think Livewire is decent value for what you get. I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think it's great considering how. And here's the thing: is the Edge monitoring system is just so much more advanced than anything else out there. So. It's hard to compare the two. Let's see here. Ed, because is Fickham Repair in Iowa? I didn't know that. I know he makes nice stuff. He has an excellent reputation. I've been following him since I was on the forum. Like, I used to be on powerstroke.org all the time. Now I still check on it from time to time, but I don't really do much in there anymore. Guys, we got 14 people. If someone hasn't hit that like button, let's get me to 20 likes if you haven't hit it already. If you guys have all hit it, thank you for being excellent subscribers. Nick, how did I do? 3 hours, 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes. 20 likes. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. 21 likes. This is what I'm talking about. I just need to harass you guys about it more. Guys, I want to say thank you so much, Grant. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you guys for checking out the merch stuff. I hope you like it. I do plan to do a lot more with the merch coming out. Anyone looking for turbos? Turbo Time USA, love those guys. 6 Obros, coupon code down there for 5% off their turbos. They will be who we run on the 6.7 at some point as well. Thank you again, guys, so much. I just seriously, always, man, thank you. Controlled Insanity, thank you. You guys are. All right, we're gonna finish the live stream out for when that live chat expires. I feel like we're gonna go for that length. I don't know how long they stay up there, but I definitely want to do that. It was supposed to be 20. Well, Controlled Insanity, I really do appreciate it, man. You guys have seriously. There's times I just feel overwhelmed with how amazing all of you guys have been to me and what you allow me to do. So thank you so much for that. I want to take a picture of that because I want to do something in the future for people that for the super chats and stuff, man. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Seriously, I do mean it. Like at times I definitely feel overwhelmed with some of the support that you guys have shown me in this time. And I was thinking about doing a funny video in the future about going through all my videos and reading like the overwhelming majority has been super positive stuff. but reading like the negative comments people have left, because I think it would be I think it'd just be a funny video. And I'm sure it won't do like crazy good for views, but the guys, you guys that come in here that hang out with me for 3 hours, or drop me super chats. Seriously, I think it'd be something you guys would find funny. So I want to do that. It's just a big task to go through all the videos. We're getting close to 200 videos posted on the channel. So Jay, thank you. No problem, man. I'm glad to help. Jay, excellent choice on the X4 and the CTS3. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, Controlled Insanity. Seriously, you guys are awesome. My dog's over here. You gotta see this. She's like, play with me. Seriously, again, just I can't thank you guys enough for everything. You guys are awesome. Jay, I think in the video I did, I think I have links if you have any questions for that stuff. On the SCT, I don't have any links to it. I think Gearhead. That's funny, Grant. One thing I've never had big issues with this other than once or twice, but some of you guys, I want to make. I'm going to add some of you guys down here as moderators that are being in here more often. And basically what the moderator thing lets you do. Nick, where are you at? Let's add you. So we added 3 moderators. That gives you guys some control in the chats, actually. So you guys are actually, you need your 2 cents to be 20. You do not have to do another 2 cents, man. Seriously, I'm already super just, I don't even know what to say. The fact that you guys have both given me $20 to the channel, and I disappeared. Why'd you, Nick, where, oh, you're back. And he's got the little moderator thing now. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what all letting you be a moderator actually does. I feel like I should look it up. But as far as I know, it really so I think it's more as far as I know, it just really allows you to help in like live streams. Like if we ever get crazy big live streams that I can't keep up, deal with people. If we've been fortunate that we haven't had a lot of Controlled Insanity. I would definitely be all about that. Okay. One thing I would really like to do next year is I would like to be able to get out more. And it's Amia, you're in here all the time. Let me hook you up. So 4 moderators. You guys are really the ones I see a lot, and hopefully, like I said, we're super fortunate. We don't have a lot of people come in and yell and holler. We've had a person or two I've had to kind of chill out. But what that'll let us do is, as people are becoming rowdy, you'll be able to kind of put them in timeout and stuff like that. So I think you can even kick out people. Yeah, you can delete comments and stuff if things get out of hand. But like I said, fortunately, that's not a big problem here. So I have some pretty awesome subscribers, and but as we grow, and there's bound to be people come in and be goofy, you'll be able to take care of that. But Controlled Insanity. So I would love to do stuff with. I'd like to do more with subscribers. I've even considered trying to do subscriber meetups and review their build on the channel, and go for a drive with them and stuff. That is something I've considered doing. it's a lot of time for me and for another person, because shooting a video, even doing like a review video like on my truck that I know super well and I'm super comfortable in front of a camera now, you know, a lot that can take an hour. So definitely, you know, like it's a lot for someone else. So I thought if I was at events that I could maybe do that, where I have time to really talk with people. Those of you guys that have come out to see, has come out to see me when I was racing at Maple Grove. He was there when I ran a 13.6 at the track. So I do definitely want to do that. And actually, in my last racing video, which has now been forever ago, when the day I met Mia, I want to say like 7 guys maybe came out and hung out. Like it was super cool. And it's funny because there were some big YouTubers there, like Street Speed 717 was there, Greg Albarella was there. Like some real names. Like there's cars that were like $300,000 there, like stuff I will never afford. And there I am, and people are coming up. Yeah, Grant, you definitely can. And I was super overwhelmed by those people that came to see me. And Mia actually called me right before I left. He had his son in the truck. Or I think he still has it, a blue dually. It was just so much fun to see that, and I got to check out his build and talk with him about it and how he likes certain things. And it was a really cool experience. I would definitely love to do that more. So it is stuff. There are things I'm looking at doing in the future. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna cut this chat. This has been a blast. I am so glad I did this, guys. I feel like I say it all the time, but I am really gonna try to get better about getting these live streams on and hanging out with you guys. Thank you for everything, guys. Thank you for the merch, for supporting the merch. That'll start being in all the links of the videos. Mia. Don't get rid of that thing. It's awesome. He has a super clean dually. I loved it. And he had something cool with the coolant reroute from the back of the cylinder heads. So you actually have a port on the back that coolant flows through, and you can reroute that up to the front, and they put it into under the thermostat. Yeah, Controlled Insanity, man. Thank you. I know this is definitely not the first time I've seen your name on here. Your top subscriber trucks on your channel. Yeah, I would love to do something in the future. And I think it'll probably be something that'd have to be at events. But Controlled Insanity, were you the guy that's in South Carolina that you said in this chat? Yeah, so Jay, there's affiliate links in pretty much all my videos. Josh is welcome if he doesn't steal your drink. He was a jerk that day. That was a really good drink I had too. Today was just water. Yeah, that was a funny time. Jay, in the tuner video, I have a bunch of links in there to stuff to Amazon. It's all reputable stuff. It's not anything you have to worry about. Stuff that's all through Amazon affiliates, and a small portion of that does come back to me. That is one way to help support the channel. I do try to find you prices. I think I did want to say, I lost track of what I was saying. One thing to consider, because at the end of the day, I want good information and stuff out there for you. We have done a lot of talking. But Jay, check out some of the custom tuners, because sometimes they do specials that you can get like a free tuner to with them. That's like a $75, $120 value. So just something to consider. I do appreciate the support, but I don't want it to be at the sacrifice of value to you guys. That is something I really try to focus on. I think Gearhead's one of them. They have really good tune reviews that if you buy their SCT through them, I think you can get tunes from them. So just check it out. If you want to support, though, I do really appreciate that so much, but I just want to make sure I'm getting the value to you guys. That's what I care most about. So And Jay, like I said, that's on the tuner video, best 6.0 Powerstroke tuner. So anyway, guys, thank you. I'm gonna get off. I have a busy day today, and thank you again, everybody. Have a good night. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and we'll be back soon. Take care.